Well, day 3 here in Puerto Calero, Lanzarote Royal Cup. A little bit more breeze expected today. Top of the table, it's super close. It's tied between Preveza and Platoon Aviation, and the circuit standing is getting ever closer. Say a little bit more breeze today. Vasco, we caught up with today Vasco Vascotto, the tactician on board Platoon Aviation. He's a great working relationship with Jordi Calafat. They're really on fire at the moment. This is what Vasco told us. So Vasco, things going well here. How do you feel about the race course? You seem confident, you seem to really know it.
Yeah, we are very happy with this kind of shifty breeze. I think relationship aboard with Jordi, with Juan Villa is very good. So it's a relief for me to speak with them and try to choose which side to go, and that's very nice. And we are sailing well the boat, so it's good. And today a little more breeze. Let's see how it's going.
Tell me what your approach is then in terms of it's very shifty. How do you work with Jordi? How much is it instinctive? Do you look at the numbers?
We look at the numbers. We look where the next puff is coming. So let's say that before the start we have a clear which is our, let's say, mean, our neutral true wind direction, and we are working on that. We are working obviously on geometry because you want to stay inside the course in this shifty breeze, but sometimes you need to go to the next path, and next path is what we are looking for. You know, it's upwind, it's a little easier because you are going against the breeze, you see the path that are coming. Downwind, you are going the opposite direction, so it's difficult to sometimes to be in front and control the fleet that maybe can have some shift or more path.
What's your, in terms of risk reward in that situation? How do you play it?
Risky.
Risk and reward. How much do you risk?
You know, that's an interesting question. Obviously, it's also very important which kind of day you have. You know, it's not the same all the time. And it's not the same also if you are in a certain position after some races, or if you're in front or behind. So, but the reality is that in this shifty breeze, you need to sail your own race. That's very important. You need to understand that if you try to control, if you try to be conservative, sometimes it's just getting worse and worse. You need to take a decision. Every time that you are not taking a decision, somebody else is taking the decision for you on the other boats, and you are behind.
Tell me about the relationship with Jordi. Does that get better all the time, or how does it evolve? How does it change?
No, it's getting worse all the time. It's getting worse.
But that's down to you.
I tell you one thing. Okay, yesterday morning I arrived here the container, and I say, you know what? It start working very early here, and I arrive 20 minutes later. I say, hey Jordi, I came here 20 minutes later so I don't break your balls. And he said, not enough. So this is our relationship. But
just tell us then, what's he doing in advance then? When you say he's doing his homework, he's preparing.
Obviously, well, it's a long discussion together. We try to before the race we are trying to speak a lot, just to grow up our confidence. You know, it's I feel a little more breeze on the left. Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you sure? Let me see. Yes. Okay. Yes. So this is the kind of conversation that we have. So just to make our choice a little more clear in advance, you know, that's what we are looking for. Try to figure out what can be the game, and this is how it's working, how we are working together. The nice thing is that I had a huge respect of Jordi. So
what's he got in terms of looking at the breeze, or what's his biggest asset?
He has a good eyes. He has a good experience. You know, that's he is the kind of strategy that you always want to have on board. You know, and what I really like, what we are very similar, is not political at all. You know, if he disagree. And as I always say, is politics is inversion proportional of speed. More you are politician, slower goes the boat. So that's what I like. With Jordi, we are straight. If you have to fight, we fight. But at the end, we have often the same view.
What about Juan Villa? He's a big part of the mix.
Juan Villa is like the pills to calm down. You know, you have one of those guys that has experience, and you know, you are nervous. Okay, what do you think? Yes, relax. So it's like this kind of pills, you know.
Tranquilizer.
Yeah, the tranquilizer. That's very good.
He has the experience as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's difficult to find somebody that has more experience than Juan Villa. It's another. Again, I feel that it's a luxury to say with these guys. For me, it's a privilege, and when I'm in trouble, I know that these guys will solve the problem for me.
And you feel confident here. You've won here before.
I'm becoming older. I don't remember. That's all.
What about today? What's going to happen today in terms of the breeze?
It looks a little more breeze than yesterday. It looks 15, 16 knots possibly. Will be shifty again. It's another kind of day that you need to take decision. You need to go with the confidence in the water, and we know that we will not be in front all the time, and so we need to understand that there are more points when you are behind than when you are in front. So we need to fight, especially if you are behind.
Little thing yesterday, I mean, you were over the start line, you were back to 5th by the top mark.
It was a penalty. I was listening yesterday night. I cannot sleep, and I was listening your
Try to get to sleep.
Yeah, your comment for the regattas. No, but it's useful. And the reality that it's not that we tuck and we didn't get the mark. It was was a penalty there. We tuck a little too closer to I don't remember. I think that it was Criolla. Yeah, Criolla. This morning I spoke with the umpire. Was one of those that is not red, is not green, is something like brown, brown flag. And I don't go into the detail, but was a really brown.
But anyway, I mean, you recovered and you recovered.
Yeah, that's the nice part. I think that our brain get free from the mistake. As we always say, we need to stop the snowball as soon as possible and try to react. And I told you a few seconds ago, there are more points if you are behind than if you are in front. So these points are very important. If you are fighting when you are second or third, how many points you can gain? 1 or 2. But if you are 12, there are plenty of points in front.
Obviously, you're great friends with Keiko. Do you have a little bit of a rivalry at the moment, or do you speak? What's the dynamic on shore?
I don't speak with Keiko at all. No, no. I mean,
it's a friendly rivalry, isn't it?
No, obviously it's a friendly. But I mean, there are plenty of friends here, and a huge respect with all the other teams. That's the reality. And Keiko in this condition is really good, and I think that we are really lucky that he lost 20 points in 2 regattas in this event. So gave us a chance to thinking about. But the reality is that we were just talking a few seconds ago in the container. 16 races to go, I think, is 1/3 of the championship still. And we know that the Sled has a crew still to another level. Okay, there are 2 points in front, so they have this double advantage. But obviously, pressure can make somebody a little more nervous. Let's see. I'm not nervous.
Fantastic, Vasco. Well done.
Welcome. Ciao, ciao, ragazzi. Ciao.
So some great insights there from Vasco Vascotto, how things work at the back of the Platoon Aviation. We caught up also with the navigator on board Preveza, tied at the top, and Nacho Postigo. So Nacho, how's it looking today? A little bit more breeze?
Yeah, a little bit more breeze, more windy, and big difference between offshore and inshore. Inshore will be much more tricky with much more shifts, and possibly a little bit lighter, I would say 14 to 19 knots, something like that, and very shifty. While offshore it will be possibly a little bit stronger, 15 to 22, more stable. But I think the offshore breeze will be very far away, so I doubt that the race committee will be chasing that, because it's going to be a long delivery to get there. So
much the same as yesterday or different?
Windy air, on the windier side of yesterday, if you want. And possibly not as shifty as yesterday, possibly, hopefully.
Everything's going well in the Preveza, though?
So far, so good. But we still have some days to ruin it.
To improve.
To improve it, sorry. So we'll see. If we keep doing good starts as we are doing and good speed out of the line, we could have some chances.
It's interesting to see that if you look at the kind of podium battles, you've got Platoon Aviation going well, Sled struggling. You've got Paprec going quite well, and correspondingly Vitamina not going so well. Is there any rhyme or reason, any pattern for that?
No, I don't think so. I think the level of the fleet is so high that if the humans on board are not having a good week, it shows in the performance. It's just like that.
And so that's Nacho Postigo. Let's look at yesterday's highlights. Well, a beautiful morning here in Puerto Calero in Lanzarote. Second day of racing. Yesterday was tough, it was challenging. Light, unsettled breezes, split breezes coming off the land. It's going to be more of the same, and it's going to be a real heads out of the boat day. So breeze is about 10 knots on the start line. The wind axis is 075. It's a 1.8 mile beat for race number 3. Off the start line it's very even, but off the left hand of the group, Preveza and Paprec make the best start. Platoon Aviation and Sled, the top 2 boats for the circuit, are over the start line early. Both have to recross and join the back of the fleet. The left side pays quite nicely going on the first upwind. Round the top mark it's Preveza leading Paprec. Alpha Plus come across from the right and get round in third. Alkedo 4th, and down the first run, well, clearly there's different strands of breeze, but still Preveza and Paprec are best. They come round the leeward gate, and then the breeze very much shuts off. Suddenly Paprec and Preveza have very, very light breeze, but they hold that left side, and approaching the top mark, it's very close between Preveza and Paprec, and as they approach the top mark, the course is shortened. It's a win for Paprec. Preveza gets second, and a great recovery by Trinity Racing, who get third through the finish line. So race number 4, the breeze has moved 25-30 degrees to the left since the previous race. On the start line, well, once again it's Paprec starting at the pin end of the line. Preveza a little bit further up the line, but the best start is actually between No Way Back and Platoon Aviation. Platoon Aviation have better acceleration, get to the left early. Round the top mark, it's Platoon Aviation leading from Vayu, with No Way Back in third. Paprec in 4th. Down the first run, it's very, very even. Platoon Aviation stay in front, and in fact they come through to the finish line, winning race number 4, with No Way Back getting the best result for a long time in second. Third are Vayu. So the points after 4 races: Preveza on 15 points, second Platoon Aviation on 15 points, third Vayu on 17 points.
Palm Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
Well, very good afternoon. Welcome back to Puerto Calero. They always say that a picture tells a thousand words, and that is the picture for the start of race number 5 today. It seems still quite light. Forecast was for the breeze to come in slightly stronger than yesterday, as Nacho Postigo very eloquently explaining. There's a stronger breeze offshore and this lighter breeze inshore. I've got Katie on the water and Robbie with me here in the studio. Katie, what's your interpretation of what we're seeing at the moment then, as we're waiting to go into sequence?
Yeah, I think good afternoon, Andy, first. But secondly, yeah, I think it's definitely a bit breezy. It's a bit breezier out here. Got around 14 to 16 knots, still relatively flat water compared to what we have been seeing in the windier days before. Yeah, I think on the way out, it felt a little bit breezier closer to shore. It's a little bit, maybe up to sort of 18 knots at points when we were on the way out, but a little bit softer where we are here, 14 to 16. Yeah, and as kind of we saw in the VT, I think another kind of super shifty day on the cards here. Wind is still coming off the land, a little bit less directly off the land, but it's still very much coming off the land. So I think, yeah, going to be another head out the boat kind of day.
Robbie, your thoughts? I mean, it was a fascinating day yesterday. We saw Platoon Aviation going particularly well, correspondingly Sled still struggling, and in the other battle for the podium places, Paprec going well, and Alkedo not so well. I mean, Alkedo and Sled both really amassing quite high points aggregates.
Yeah, that's right, Andy. And I was thinking about it after saw the races settled yesterday, and obviously we're very tight on the points in this regatta, but then also equally we're getting very excited for the season points as well, as they're very close. So heaps of excitement and lots of tight racing to come. And you mentioned sort of the mini battles and Paprec and sort of Alkedo Setelar trying to battle each other as well. So lots of tight battles to come, and yeah, exciting racing for sure.
Indeed. So I think one thing that's evident is that Sled and Alkedo in particular need to start bouncing back, start putting some really good scores on the doors, as it were, and in particular Platoon and Platoon Aviation have to maintain their consistency. But let's look at the circuit standings. We're going into race 5 here in Puerto Calero, but it's a big changes there. This is the regatta standings. Preveza and Platoon Aviation on 15 points. Their value on 17 points. Criolla on 21, and then it's super close behind between Paprec, Trinity Racing, No Way Back, Alpha Plus and Gladiator, and indeed Sled, all on 30 points, then just 3 points behind Alegre. Alkedo Setelar say, look at the points they've tallied. They've had 2 12th places, a 9th and a 10th. They really need to start bursting their way into the top half, or indeed the top third of the fleet. Teasing Machine still unfortunately not able to go racing, still having problems with their rig, having broken that D2 on day 1, race 1. So that's the standings at the moment. But really, what do in particular, let's look at Alkedo. What do they need to start doing? What have they been doing wrong? They haven't been making big mistakes, Robbie, have they?
No, it's surprising to see them at the back of the fleet. They've obviously sailed very, very well all season and in all the races leading up to this event, but I'm not too sure what quite isn't clicking for the team. I'm not sure if it's a personnel thing or whether they're just at an event which has shifty and different conditions to what we've been seeing.
The shifty breezes. It's interesting to hear Vasco saying you really have to be watching for the next shift or the next puff and the next one beyond that and making your decisions. Katie, what do you think about that and Alkedo in particular? You're a big fan of doing the next right thing.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, something that Vasco said on the VT, I've written it down because I was like, I need to remember that for my own feeling. But it's kind of like you need to be making your own decisions. Otherwise, the other boats around you are going to be making them, and they're going to be making the gains. And I think that's really important to remember. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. And I think that's what Platoon, for example, have been doing super well, and the boats that are at the top. And I think maybe Alkedo just getting a little bit stuck in traffic and a little bit unable to kind of really make their own decisions, and really unable to kind of capitalise on those. It is a really tricky race course, and there is the margins kind of between gains and losses are so small that if you miss one, it's really hard to kind of get back in phase, and then everyone around you just kind of can sail around you, and it's super tricky.
I mean, Katie, you're a big one on this as well. I mean, confidence is so important. We're talking about the best sailors, or some of the best sailors in the world. But on one hand, you have Vasco and Jordi in particular have won here many times before. They've sailed here many times before, and their confidence is a high. But equally, when you end up with your tail between your legs, as it were, and you just feel like you can't get out of your own way. I think that's the case with some of the teams at the moment. They just need to turn that round.
Yeah, for sure, and it's really hard to do, especially if you've had when you have a day like it is out here where it's super shifty and you're on top of it, you're like, yes, this is great. Like I'm feeling really great. But equally, you have a day where you're not on top of it and it feels almost impossible, and you're like, sometimes it's really hard to even know what you've done wrong, so it's really hard to understand how to come back from that confidence wise. But again, what Vasco was saying between him and Geordie, where Vasco, they'll be having conversations and one of them will say, oh, I think there's breeze over there, and then the other one chimes in saying, oh yeah, okay, I agree, let's do that. And I think communication like that on the boat is super important, because you need to be building each other up, and yes, you're not going to make every right decision out here, but I think especially teams that are low on confidence or are having a bit of a harder time, if they can bring together, if they can bring 2 brains together, 3 brains together to really figure it out and build each other's confidence, I think that's going to really make a big difference out here on kind of these really tricky race days.
I mean, I think, one asset that I really think in the Alkedo Setelar corner, who I think you probably know reasonably well, is Hugh Styles as a coach, is very methodical and very good with the mental side of the game.
Oh man, he was so great. He was my coach in the NACRA when I sailed the NACRA with Ben Saxton quite a few years ago now. And yeah, he's so great. He's so level-headed, he's so passionate about it, but also he's kind of very process driven, and he's very good at kind of asking the right questions and getting the most out of people. He really is a great people person, which I think in situations like this where it is confidence based, he really does know how to get the best out of people. And I think Alkedo is super lucky to be to have someone like him kind of leading the charge on the coaching side of it. And I have no doubts that they'll be having the right conversations, and I think hopefully we'll see them start to kind of turn it around and really put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Indeed, let's have a quick look back at that the circuit standings. We were just saying actually Platoon Aviation now just only a couple of points behind Sled, and significantly Paprec now overtaken Alkedo Setelar on the strength of the last couple of days. So Sled on 150, Platoon Aviation 152, Paprec 182, Alkedo Setelar 183, No Way Back in Trinity Racing 192 and 194. By far not out of the running there for the podium. There, as Vasco was saying, still 16 races to go, still a third of the season really in that respect. But Alpha Plus and Preveza 201 to 204, that little battle going on, and Criolla, Vayu, Allegre and Gladiator, fights all the way through the fleet there. But we're now at 1.5 minutes to go before the start. What do you see, Robbie?
Yeah, we're having a look at most of the boats just sort of lined up at that boat end like we sort of saw yesterday. There is a lot of space between Criolla. They're the furthest left boat down to the pin, so there's a lot of room for them.
A little bit more chop there in the water, isn't it? It's quite bouncy.
Yeah, it looks like that swell's just rolling in. Katie mentioned earlier about the wind direction just being a little bit further right from the land, so you do get more of that swell effect. But yeah, you can just see all those boats up on that.
Swell, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. So most of the bows sort of slapping in there, so really big emphasis for all these boats, just trying to keep the pace on, just keeping a little bit of speed. Obviously they want to kill the time, but really congested at that boat end, Andy.
Indeed, but it's important to get off the line with pace and be accelerating, Katie, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, having listened to some of the briefings and kind of notes from the quantum briefing, I think the general consensus is the fleet is that you kind of want to be starting top half of the line or weather end of the line and holding out straight to that left-hand side. And I think that's why we're seeing so many of the boats trying to really vie for that starboard end. But having said that, I think you really need to get a clear start. If you are trying to hold all the way out to that left-hand side, you need to be in a good lane. So I think I like Criolla and kind of the boats further down to leeward, Alkedo. I think they're doing a really sensible job of actually, trying to get themselves a clear lane so they can hold on, because not everyone at that boat end is going to get a clear start, and that's going to be really punishing for them.
Indeed, 5 seconds to go, and Criolla seemed to go nicely in time and distance. Alkedo Setelar actually got the best start for a while. One boat there at the windward end of the line, I think.
That was Vayu there, Andy.
Vayu having to slow down and didn't quite see what was happening there. But Trinity tack off early. Good start really from Allegra there. Punching out early, bows in front of Alkedo. So Alkedo a little bit in trouble for the meantime, although they have got loads of space to bear off into or to drive off into. Not such a great start from Trinity or indeed Gladiator at the windward end of the line.
Yeah, another sort of MO from Gladiators, trying to start at that boat end, but just not potentially getting it quite right and having to start sort of second row and tack off early. But for me, Andrea looks really, really close in this middle pack. It looks like they're all very lined up. We see Vayu just sort of punching their bow out, and also Platoon Aviation as well for me.
No Way Back making a good start early in the piece. Interesting. I don't think, although they got that second in the second race, they partnered that with a 12th in the first race, so Terry Hutchison was not really very happy when he came ashore, but if they can keep pushing on from that second yesterday, making a really strong start. Allegra going well. They got the time and distance right. They came off the gun with acceleration, Robbie, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. They really used that time on distance and the room that they had with Alkedo just to leeward of them, but they absolutely pulled the trigger at the right time, and they've just got their bow out just in front of the other boats, which does make a difference as we head on a long starboard tack.
Platoon Aviation a little bit in the group, as it were, in the crowd, such as it is, just in a little bit of a crowded spot where they are, and particularly with Allegri below them and Preveza below them, not really able to impose themselves as the way they would want to at the moment. But we've seen them recover from their main rival Sled at the moment are just beside them in 7th.
Yeah,
so it's super close.
We always talk about how important it is to have a lane off the start line. Obviously, you want to be as good with the time on distance, but then the space you have around you, because it makes a whole lot of difference going into the rest of the race, right?
That's right. And if you're having to fight private battles such as it is just now between Platoon Aviation and Vayu Platoon, trying to rise up and squeeze up to the Vayu, who at the same time, as Robbie said, trying to drive into this cross swell, this little choppy, nasty sea. It's not helping you in terms of raw boat speed, trying to burn away from the boat to leeward.
Yeah, I was speaking to Nick Heiner, who's the new strategist on board Team Preveza, and he was just sort of mentioning their setup for the boat. They set the boats up for that start and the all-important lineup that they do off the start. He deems that as priority one, to get off the start in a clear lane, and then they sort of figure out the shifty stuff at the top end. So all these boats would be just setting up for that bottom edge of the course and then playing it as it comes.
But certainly they've done a good job so far in that second position in their early standings, just after the start of race number 5. This is, of course, theoretical midpoint of the regatta. No Way Back, just I think not quite able to hold the pace that they need for the moment. But Sled in a reasonable position. I do like where Allegri and Preveza are at the moment, though, Katie.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Allegro and Preveza looking strong and kind of look to me like they're getting stronger and stronger as they're going up. It looks like No Way Back, as you say, just doesn't quite have the speed, or they've not quite managing to kind of keep their bow punched out. And I think Criolla underneath as well. I thought it was a good strategy off the line, but it looks to me like their mode is a little bit low and they've just given away slightly too much gauge to the boats above. It does mean, however, they can tack out, so they can tack and duck the fleet, but I think Criolla's going to be pretty pinned out here and hoping that everyone doesn't kind of go all the way to the ley line so they're not over ley. But I think at the moment, Allegri, Alkedo and Preveza are looking the strongest 3 for me.
Thanks, Katie. I've been talking about pinned out. Actually, Platoon Aviation are in a tough position just now, Robbie. They're pinned out by No Way Back to weather with, I think, it's Vayu to leeward, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And even Sled just to windward of No Way Back. So it's hard to sort of see where the depth perception on how they sort of are, but I think Sled's got the one that they're locking, I guess, the rest of the fleet out to this left-hand side. So they sort of get to dictate terms. If they're happy to stay on that board, they sort of lock everyone else, but they also get the times to choose to the time to tack.
Indeed, but I think at the moment the battles to get to the left, Katie, such as it is.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it, and I think that's been kind of a bit of a theme of the week. Like, even though it has been super shifty at the top, this left-hand side has been favouring, and I think the water out here is potentially a little bit flatter on this side, and I think there potentially is a bit more breeze at the moment, and you get a bit of that wind bend. But left-hand side definitely seems to be the safer side to go, and then you kind of potentially play a few more of the shifts as you get up further up the race course, further as you're going back towards the middle, if and when they come.
So on board or overhead, bird's eye view of the Prevezza, just watching there with Colle Parada there, just keeping an eye out round the fleet with John Cutler there on the helm. John giving his view. I think Colle getting a little bit aggravated by having a buzzing buzzing drone overhead. There's a little bit of history there I won't repeat, but looking like now No Way Back starting to wind things up a little bit better.
Yeah, it looks like they've got some good wheels as it stands now. So they've, they've sort of broken off a bit of separation. You see Platoon just down to leeward of them, and then they've got that one boat Sled just above them. So they're able to sail a bit more of their mode. They've got a bit more range to play with, and they're doing really nice. It looks like they've got good wheels.
Unfortunately, then Allegri electing to tack off early. What's your thoughts there, Katie? They just weren't able to hold their lane, or what? They're taking quite a number of sterns considering they were in a good position.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if they maybe just didn't want to get quite that far out to that ley line and wanted to lead the pack back in. I think I don't think it's a bad move if everyone's going out super close to the ley line. If you can tack back, maybe take some sterns. If it is a close duck, you're probably going to be in front again anyway, because the boat that you're ducking has got 2 more tacks to do to your 1 tack, if that makes sense. So close ducks are never actually really as much of a loss as it feels like they are in the moment. So actually I think from them taking a couple of sterns and maybe getting back towards that middle of the fleet, I would definitely have been kind of a conscious decision. It didn't look like, it didn't look like their lane was compromised. It looked like a tactical decision, kind of thinking 2 steps ahead to the next win.
Indeed, watching then as Alkedo Setelar set up and go as well. They're in 7th for the moment. Paprec struggling. They did not get the start they needed, Robbie, did they?
No, they didn't. Just on the back foot off that line, they were just sort of in the pocket of Platoon, and they just had to ride that wave out because it was such a right shift. And then equally, I think they're potentially just below Alpha Plus there. So, yeah, tough break for them, and it was just came down to that start line and not having a lane.
Oh, that's amazing. And just watch how the left is profiting with her. We'll watch how Allegri go, having bailed out from that. If you look at the angle that Prevezza are sailing relative to Allegri to their right, now this may not be a persistent shift all the way up to the mark, but we will see, I think, these boats coming in from the left, and Alkedo look to be quite high. But it's interesting. Prevezza and Platoon super close. The 2 regatta leaders out on that left side, clearly doing the right thing for the moment.
I think a key feature for me, Andy, today is it's not the same picture that we've seen the past couple of days with the sun and the blue skies. I think there's quite a lot of cloud cover. Maybe a question for Katie, what she's seeing with the cloud cover, but I think we've got a lot of clouds coming over the course and sort of how that's sort of affecting things, Katie.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more cloud cover. I mean, you probably won't believe it, but I'm pretty sure I felt a little drizzle of rain earlier on the shore.
No, it's quite possible, yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot more cloud cover. It's just a completely different kind of day to the last 2 days. It's more of a gradient-driven breeze rather than kind of potentially the fighting breezes that we've seen the last couple of days. Which means that the breeze should, in theory, be more stable, the gradient breeze, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get the shifts from the offshore breeze, which naturally happens, kind of similar to what we saw in Valencia last year. The final of last year's season, I think it was, in Valencia, where
year
it was
before.
Year before, where it was completely different style of racing, super shifty offshore. So I think they'll be hopefully the teams will be trying to dial back into that style of racing. They've had a couple of days of it. But yeah, it's interesting that all of the fleet, however, even though it is shifty, are wanting to go all the way out to that left-hand side. I think just looking ahead, I think we're going to see a lot of congestion coming round the protector mark. I think it looks like a lot of the boats are potentially a bit overlaid, which means that they're all just going to kind of get compressed together. So I think the tack onto that starboard ley line, I think we could see a little bit of action.
Indeed, I mean that's what you were saying about thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead with Allegri, perhaps realising this is going to happen and getting out of that, letting the boat do the work in a slightly more open lane, getting to that right side early. But on board with Trinity Racing, Joachim Sundberg there on the helm. Again, a team that like to try and stay out of the traffic, but it's all to play for at the moment with super close to Platoon, Prevets and No Way Back.
Yeah, it looks like all those boats that are sort of stacked up on this left-hand side, they're just giving quite a bit of room to the boats. You mentioned Allegri picking a time to go early. It just gives them a bit more room, doesn't it, just in the middle of the fleet. You touched on also Alpha Plus and Trinity just being the furthest out to that right-hand side, so we'll see sort of how the shifts play out, because I think it will get a bit more shifty as we come up here, Andy.
Of our top 3 boats, whose position, or the top 4 boats, whose position do you like best relative to that starboard ley line, and indeed the spacer mark that the protector mark that Katie was talking about?
Personally, I do like where Sled are positioned. They're definitely the leeward of that bunch. I'm not sure how they're looking on the ley line of that sort of spreader mark, but I think they do have the room to tack over and then end up on starboard. So I think all rights to them as we see them just on the bottom of your screen there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it gives them a little bit of an option to keep the bow down a little bit for speed, to get to a ley line or close to a ley line and pose themselves on starboard a little bit earlier. But I think we've got a lot of action on our plates in the next few minutes, Katie.
Yeah, for sure. I think as we saw yesterday, plenty of moves, plenty of counter moves to be had. I think you can already see the boats starting to tack on the shifts, try and figure their way up this last third of the beat. But yeah, plenty to come.
Interesting insight for me, Katie. I mean, maybe I'm just naive, but to hear Vasco saying that he sits and watches all the racing at the end of the day was quite insightful, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I think it always surprises me how many people kind of come up to me after a day or the following day after a race day, and they're like, I mean, more often than not, it's like, oh, thanks for being so nice to us on the live stream. But just the fact that they're...
You said, that's me naturally.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just a nice person. What do you mean? Yeah, no, I think it's interesting that clearly a lot of these guys do watch the racing back. Clearly wanting to learn from the day, see what they can get from it. It's always better to have. I mean, it always quite often seems obvious when you look back at a day what went wrong and what didn't. Maybe more obvious than when you're in it or when you're talking about it. So yeah, and I think that's what people have done since kind of forever, really, is you kind of look back at race days, you watch the tracking back, and you really try and analyse and see where you went wrong. So yeah, we've got to be real nice about all of the teams, is what I have figured out.
Indeed, and there's insights to be had with all these on boards as well, Robbie, when you see the setups on every boat, up close and personal.
Yeah, that's right. Potentially a perspective these other teams don't get to see on board other boats. So you're absolutely right. They'll be studying, sort of how other boats sail and their setups. But just taking a look on the water now, we see that spreader mark there. You see Prevets just going over the top of Platoon and just having to go around it. So just a little overlaid. You see Alkedo Settler also very fast into that mark. So overstood that as well. Really congested up in this front bunch.
It's to see what they do now, whether they want to try and maintain an overlap on Platoon Aviation. That could be interesting. Meantime, as we said, Sled able to dictate terms from where they are, certainly able to rise up and give dirt to No Way Back, but is looking a lot better for Andrea Lacorte and the Alkedo Settler team. I think they listened to our hopes and prayers for them, and it's working out for the moment of getting themselves into the best position we've seen for them for a while. But it's the regatta leaders, Prevets around in first place at the top mark, race number 5. Then round in second is Alkedo Settler, Platoon Aviation with third place. Then Sled in fourth, No Way Back just getting in there in fifth place, but all to the good for the team who fly the flag of Turkey, Ergen Emre's team. They had a fantastic season in 2023 until they had a problem in the last regatta of their season when they had rig damage. Really cost them the season, but that year they had been one of the dominant teams.
What was really interesting to me just then, sorry Andy, was Alkedo setting up. You saw the bowman go forward before they even tacked over to get onto the ley line to go around the mark. So just setting up really early means that it indicates to me that there's big left shift and they just want to be really quick on the hoist and just keep coming out.
Indeed, everybody's the same there. Allegri getting around in 8th in the end. Trinity 9th, Alpha plus 10th, Gladiator in 12th. But yeah, it was good work there at the top mark from Alkedo. Just driving into that gap to get the overlap with Platoon Aviation. But let's see how this run plays out. Only Alpha plus and no way back. Jibing off early, Katie. No way back, a little bit of a scrappy
Yeah, I think
dive.
I think they were just in so much congestion. I think they probably just wanted to kind of keep clear. It's really hard when you're engaging with so many boats around you. It's really hard to kind of race your own race, and it's really hard to choose your own mode. So I think they're probably just wanting a bit of clear wind to be able to kind of breathe a little bit and sail the boat how they want to sail. I think, as you were saying, just going back to that windward mark, Alkedo did such a nice job of that windward mark, and I think those are situations where communication on board is so important, because they were coming in hot to that protector mark, overlay. They had a boat right in front of them, a boat right below, and they really had to be incredibly precise with what they were doing, and they executed it very well. And I think just keeping the communication, you can see that the communication was probably quite good, because they were able to execute those maneuvers. It didn't look too scrappy. It kind of looked like an attacking move that was intentional and that they had it under control. So I think they did a really good job there, and it could have gone a lot worse.
And part of that communication is the communication with Andrea Lacorte, who needs to know exactly what he's doing and what the team require of him in terms of bearing off and driving into that gap, as I say. But they are a team who have done a lot of training pre-season every year, I think, and they're very, again, maybe a little bit of credit to the coach there, making the training functional and profitable. But Platoon Aviation going quite nicely for the moment. There's the projected standings if positions in this race stayed the same through into the finish. It would be Preveza on 16, Platoon Aviation on 18, Vayu 23, 32 for No Way Back. But that's interesting, isn't it? Both of you, Preveza would have twice or half the points that No Way Back have got at the midpoint of the regatta. That's pretty good. As they always say, 4 or 5 points per race. Race 5 to a 16-point average is pretty good, Robbie, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of teams get big scores in their scorecard thus far. So these teams that have kept it sort of low and under that sort of 5 position mark, like you mentioned, Andy, has definitely been a credit to them. And the disparity between these numbers are crazy just at the halfway point of this regatta.
It is, of course, a big fleet, Katie, isn't it? 12, 13 boats. It's so much strength and depth. It's easy to end up dropping into some big numbers, isn't it, Katie?
It is so easy, and I mean, as we've kind of seen on the overall standings as well, no amount of points gap is safe. You can lose, when you lose potentially 12, 13 points or however many in a single race, it all just kind of evaporates so quickly. And I think what makes a real difference is teams being able to turn kind of the 10th, 9th positions into a 5th or a 6th. Like those kind of transitions, we see a lot of the teams being able to do it. Like Sled did it yesterday really nicely. Platoon as well, we've seen them kind of manage to come back from being towards the back of the fleet, just chipping their way forward. And I think all of those little points and those little battles that they win in each race are what really, really makes the difference, because over a 10 race series, all of those points are going to really, really add up and make all the difference.
Robbie, it's about the tiny details, isn't it? We talk about a metre here and a metre there, but when you consider, that Allegri were, one of our contenders coming up that beat, and even coming into the top mark and down, they're back in 12th again. It's it's just these small losses get magnified so much.
Yeah, they do, and I think it's just a snowball sort of compound effect. If one thing goes wrong, just a little thing, then it sort of leads on to other things. So, no, it is absolutely metre for metre in this sort of, the most high-performing fleet that we have in the monohull circuit. So, take anything and sort of lose anything is the game, really.
It is indeed, but Preveza, Katie, really very, very impressive this regatta so far. Sailing with confidence, got speed, and starting well. I mean, not starting brilliantly, just starting well. As Collie said yesterday, it's a start that they can work from rather than chasing the fleet or chasing the top half of the fleet.
Yeah, they've really kind of stepped it up a notch here. They seem, they've kind of got to a point in this regatta where it's like, what you have confidence watching them as well, if that makes sense. Like, I'm watching them and I'm like, oh, Prevetza's up there, okay. I have confidence that they're going to be able to kind of stay towards the front of the fleet, and I think that's a reflection of how well they're sailing in these really tricky conditions. And I think with the starting, I think they have exactly the right strategy. I think you don't necessarily, in these conditions, wanting to you don't need to be winning an end, you don't need to be doing anything crazy, you just need to be getting off the line clean to be able to give yourself options to then make your own decisions. And I think they've done a really good job of that, and I think that's a really solid strategy to have on a day like today where it's really tricky, shifty racing.
Indeed, and obviously Nick Heiner stepping in is it's not a catalyst for jumping up into the top positions, but I think possibly bringing in a different element, different viewpoint, Robbie.
Yeah, always, fresh eyes, fresh faces is never a bad thing, I don't think. Nick's obviously a very well experienced sailor himself,
but he apparently sailed here a lot in the Finn in the early days.
Yeah,
that's what Collie was telling me.
Yeah, absolutely. And this sort of location and having that experience is very valuable, but a different set of eyes, a different sort of opinion really goes a long way, I'd say.
Indeed, but it's working for them just now. Alkedo in second, 100 metres behind, and about 90 metres back are Platoon Aviation, Platoon just ahead of Sled. But once again, we're seeing this kind of streaky, puffy, little gusty breezes rolling down the course, slightly different angle to what we've seen in terms of the orientation of the course, but it's really about using that pressure, Robbie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also nice to see a difference in pressure as well. We obviously saw these past 2 days have been a little bit lighter, so it's nice to sort of see these teams in a bit more pressure, isn't it? And just sort of change up the game for these teams, give them something else to think about, their sail setup, their configuration. So it all comes into the regatta, and it's the team that can do the best to sort of manage it. And we mentioned Preveza, they're doing a good job at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Katie, but this, as you were saying, this cloud cover a little bit cooler, indicative of a change in the weather for the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a bit of a change. I think we're going to see a lot more gradient breezes, much stronger breezes, and a little bit less heat, which isn't a bad thing because it's pretty hot over here.
We're still freezing in our little fridge on land, but enjoy it while it lasts. But great racing to keep you warm. And Alkedo Setelar just jibing in front of and establishing their position as we think about this leeward gate.
Yeah, interesting decision for Team Preveza. Do they just stick with the MO of just going around a right turn and heading out to the left-hand side, and we just look up the course, don't we?
Sled got their kite down, seem to be doing a penalty, perhaps. That's expensive for them just at the wrong time when things were starting to go a little bit better, Katie. Penalty for Sled.
Yeah, that is, and not a nice place to do it either. The fleet's just going to completely sail around them there, which is pretty painful. I didn't quite see what happened, but yeah, that's not what they want to be doing, and not what we often see from them. We often see clean racing and them not really engaging with other people too much and keeping things clean. But yeah, not ideal.
Robbie's just having a quick look at the replay, but all to the good for Preveza, Alkedo and Platoon Aviation.
Yeah, it just looked to me, just watching that replay there, it looked like no way back, just got a wee bit to leeward of Sled, and Sled just didn't sort of give them the room, so they were that windward boat, but really, really close, and yeah, tough spot for Sled. But we also see Vayu having an early drop as well, so a bit of a slower one there for them, having a jibe and also go do a sort of button hook turn around this right turn, and we see all these boats sort of slowing up as we get down here with this chop, Andy.
Indeed, you don't want to be doing that, and the boat's well above the ley line coming in with the late jibe. That's never quick with Alpha Plus, and on board, yeah.
Oh, really
Alpha
tough
Plus,
there
Alpha
for
Plus.
Criolla.
Criolla really getting themselves into a right mess, as indeed Alpha Plus are just to their left. All kinds of drama going on here at this leeward gate, deeper in the fleet.
Not too sure what happened there. I think sort of Vayu wound it up and went to their VMG angle upwind, and Criolla and Gladiator got stuck out.
That's right, and they're still stuck out. Bear in mind, they still have to get to the leeward gate on that left-hand mark.
Oh, and they're on port as well, so taking sterns. Oh dear.
And Gladiator having to go all the way around. This really is unfortunate for them. They may end up with another penalty for not keeping clear, but we shall see. The umpires just heading in their direction. I don't think they really impeded Alpha Plus particularly.
And interesting, Criolla just going past that mark as well. Happy to just sail the entire length of the gate to go to the other end. So, yeah, drama at this bottom mark with the other boats going upwind.
Indeed, and Sled's penalty not as terrible, considering these boats have had to really drop themselves out of any hopes of getting further up the fleet. However, no such problems for Ergun Imre's Turkish team, Preveza. Big, comfortable lead over Alkedo, just leading the fleet out to the left side upwind. Platoon in third. Vayu have got themselves up to fourth there now. That's kind of starting to be a little bit of a hallmark, a trademark of this regatta so far for them, keeping themselves in contention.
Yeah, they were about 5th or 6th around that top mark, so just picking off a few boats as they head downwind and just really trying to keep it close to those front three. And you see the front three really trying to get out to this left-hand side, whereas everyone else sort of being forced out to the right. So we see Preveza sailing really, really well, and they're the front of that pack.
Indeed, and just nice breeze now. What wind speed have you got now, Katie, roughly?
It feels a little bit breezier, maybe more consistently around 16 knots, maybe a little bit more in the gusts. But yeah, that leeward mark was, it was like a real boiling pot of carnage, and it really just boiled over at the end. I've not seen anyone have to get pinned out by an upwind boat on the downwind mark in this fleet before, so that was costly.
It was costly. It's something that the afterguards should have been seeing a little bit further in advance, but it's not easy going down there with a kite shielding there or blocking your vision for the leeward turning. However, they're both got some work to do. They're over 200 metres behind in 11th and 12th. They'll have their own battle for 11th and 12th. But the pattern are looking very similar up this second beat. Preveza able to just keep a loose cover on Alkedo and Platoon. Any options for Platoon there, Robbie? Or do you think they'll just keep it tight?
Yeah, I think they'll hang in there. I mean, we see they've got a lot of breeze, so they should be able to sail VMG in quite a high mode. They've got the speed to do it, so I think if they've got a little bit of a lane, then they'll absolutely take it. I think just as I say that, they might have tacked off. So,
but I mean, there's a great shot there, just showing you why the breeze splits. That big high hill at the back of the racecourse, upwind of the racecourse. So obviously that's going to affect the breeze, and you have to use the split breeze to best effect. And Alejandro Parada, brother of Guige, a very, very strong sailor in his own right. Used to sail a cadet with his brother originally. Sailed Snipes and sailed with Santi Lange, and coached Santi to his Olympic gold in Rio.
I was just going to say, during that tack there, Andy, you just see the force of the swell and the force of the chop. I mean, both these teams that just tack now on this left-hand side really got up and down with their bows and lost quite a bit of speed. So just really indicating that there is a bit of sea state and swell to play for out with these teams.
Indeed. Anyway, I think we'll just see Prevezza keeping Alkedo, the Italian boat, in check. Just keep a loose cover. And there we see Platoon Aviation much further out towards the middle of the course, Katie.
Yeah, I think Platoon was potentially just not quite happy with their lane. Trying to create an opportunity potentially on the boats above. There's a bit of a gap to the boats behind, so they've got the opportunity to be a bit more attacking to Alkedo and Prevezza, and I think by tacking off they just kind of create an opportunity to maybe make a gain. But yeah, Prevezza in the lead, doing a really nice job of kind of covering that move and just making sure that Platoon doesn't get too much leverage out the other way. I think Platoon have done well to get the tack in before Alkedo as well. They've managed to kind of slightly leading their bow forward of Alkedo, going back across on port, which puts them in a really, really strong position.
We've got Vayu in fourth. I mean, Vayu seem to be under the radar so often and then just pop up in the top 4, top 5 places. What have they got? What are they doing, Katie, that they were maybe missing?
Yeah, I mean, this season they've been kind of really quite consistently towards the top of the fleet. I mean, I think there's been 2 regattas, isn't there, or maybe 3, where they've been leading on the first day. And now it not just in the super light stuff, which is what they kind of were known for. Like the first day here was definitely by no means really, really light. Yeah. And I think they're just doing a really good job of just kind of chipping away. Then they don't seem to be making the massive mistakes that some of the other boats around are making. They just kind of almost like silent assassins. They're just kind of always there, just chipping away, and they seem to be really taking the opportunities when they come.
Any thoughts there, Robbie?
Yeah. I think they're sort of dispelling that rumour that they're only a light wind boat. I was just got a message actually from Nick Whitcraft, and so son of Tom on board, and he was just sort of mentioning that people do think they are a light wind boat, but they're sort of dispelling that, I think.
I think they are to a point, but I think obviously what happens is they have time in the boat, they have confidence, they build their mechanical skills where their problems before were not very often, that's a little bit too critical, but their problems were mechanical, just on turning marks they would have little problems that would magnify, and now they're getting their processes much stronger and they have more confidence in each other. They've got a more settled team, and obviously I think probably Shane Elliott coming in as navigators making another element of positive difference. A navigator who's won regattas in the 52 Super Series and been on the podium with Phoenix before. So all credit to them, but in the meantime they've dropped from 4th to 6th.
Yeah, just as we talk about them. No, I think it's evidence of just a team being together for a few seasons, right? Yeah. They just sort of iron out these things. I had the fortunate privilege of sailing with them in this circuit a couple of years ago, and it's a really nice team and really nice vibe. And I think it's just ironing out those things and just season after season getting a lot better. So. No, credit to the Vayu team especially, as we see them, up at the top of the fleet in this regatta.
I think Don's been doing quite a bit of sailing with other teams, hasn't he, if I'm not wrong? Or
yeah, and Dylan as well. Yeah, no, they've been doing a lot of sailing apart from this team, and very family vibe, like I mentioned. So they're all very close, and they all know each other really well. So full credit to them.
But I think going and sailing with other teams gives you some insights into how to make small improvements here and there.
Yeah, it's good to get more perspective, definitely. I mean, different boats, different sort of things you need to prioritise, and I think these teams coming back to them.
When we started talking about them, they're in 4th and they're now in 8th. So
maybe wrap that one up.
The curse of the commentators. But we could be getting more text from Nick in a second, I'm quite sure. Yeah. But in the meantime, the top 3 pretty settled, and the flip side of Vayu's drop, such as it is the elevation of Trinity Racing up to 4th, Katie. They seem to be getting things falling right for them now. Yeah, getting a little bit further to the left.
I think this left-hand side is super strong. I think what caught a lot of the boats out on the first upwind was being overlay. I think if they'd all come back not overlay, then it would have been a bit of a different story on who rounded where. So I think learning from that, they're probably not wanting to make the same mistakes, knowing the left is strong but not wanting to go up there, and I think that's probably
right.
where those gains have come from. Just being slightly further to the left is really powerful of the fleet anyway. But yeah, we'll have to see. Kind of they do kind of still look potentially slightly overlay anyway for the mark, so we'll see whether Vayu can kind of put the bow down over the top of Trinity and claim back that position.
Yeah, I think that's quite possible, but it's interesting you just making that point for that first windward mark. There's only one definitive ley line into that protector mark, and if you're below it, then you're losing ground, and if you're above it, you're losing ground. So not everybody can be on that, and I think actually probably Sled did best at that point. But really, there you go. There's the standings. If positions stayed the same, Preveza would move 2 points clear of Platoon Aviation. Platoon in second, Vayu in third. Paprec would be still in fourth, but there are 10 points now between Vayu and Paprec. So things starting to look good for the team from Thailand. Trinity Racing on 31, the same as Paprec. Crayola 32-35 for No Way Back. Alpha plus 39, 40 points for Sled. In ninth place in this regatta at the moment. Allegra, Gladiator a little bit further behind, albeit Allegra and Sled on the same points. So then on board with Peter Hirima and the team on No Way Back. They are in eighth, just losing their way very slightly. It's that situation where you get into the traffic. It's very easy to get bounced about. The team's tacking on you, as we're going to watch now, as Paprec tack under the lee bow of No Way Back. Terry just unfortunately jumping back onto the blue book, onto Paprec at the point when Terry was about to explode. Anyway, there we go. He's not really, that's unfair to him, but he's certainly not happy with Paprec going into that position. He's now evaluating what they're going to do.
Yeah, you mentioned they got caught up in the mix in the middle of the pack, and just looking at their track here, they've done a lot of tacks up this sort of second upwind beat. So, yeah, tough break for Terry and team.
Indeed, if you're doing a lot of tacks, you have to be. If you're in phase with the shifts and making gains, that's okay. But if you end up out of phase, well, this is a really, really tough fleet. And there, as we said, actually, Katie, Vayu managing to do what you were saying, and I think put the bow down a little bit, or certainly managed to get ahead of Trinity. I think the drama we were talking about was just only to upset us as commentators. We're just giving them credit, which is very, very due. Anyway, windward mark, Katie, just watching the approach of Preveza. Sailing nicely, they'll just close the door on the boats coming in from the left, and as you said, just use the final vestiges of the left-hander coming in. Alkedo pretty much on ley line for that protector mark, Katie.
Yeah, their ley line is pretty good to me. I think actually, as I said, as I kind of keep saying, I think or the teams are using this protector mark really quite tactically this season. I think they kind of need to, because the fleet is so tight, and I think by Alkedo making sure that they are tacking on the ley line to the protector mark, it just leaves no gap open for Platoon to be inside of them. There is a bit of a gap back to them, but you still don't really want to take anything for granted. And yeah, I mean, looking further back in the fleet, I think we've got Paprec, No Way Back, potentially, is it Allegre underneath them potentially? But all of those boats kind of look overlay again to me, so we might see something similar. But yeah, here at the front of the fleet, we've got Preveza's just about to go round, followed by Alkedo, and then probably looks like Platoon should get in third place with a little bit of a gap back towards fourth.
So Robbie, looking a bit like Preveza's win to lose. They're pretty solid there in first place already across the offset. Almost about to set their kite as Alkedo come round. Alkedo have already got their kite on the deck, all set. They will go at a moment's notice. not quite good enough of an angle to get the kite up on the offset.
Yeah, really nice job for Preveza to sort of extend their lead, but I've been really impressed with how Alkedo, set to last, sort of sailed that final third. They were very close with Platoon at one point before Platoon tacked off, so just sort of edging out a bit more lead from them. I was really impressed with how they sailed that last sort of bit of the beat.
Yep, indeed, but these top three boats actually well clear, aren't they?
Very well clear, and we see the sort of pack, the bunch, the peloton, if you like, just sort of coming into this top mark now. So we see Alegre coming across on port. They should have enough room on the boats on starboard, and yeah,
nice
we're really getting bunched up.
All in all from Alkedo, for Alegre. Remember, they were very deep before, Katie, but they've pulled one out the bag there and tacking under the bow of Trinity Racing. So great work from Luke Patience and John Costecchi, Francesco Mongelli and co on the Alegre, and no way back, quite far back. So to Value losing a little bit coming around this top mark, considering what we were talking about, Katie.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the boats are still super close together. There's still plenty to play for on this downwind, but the top kind of half of that, or even the top third of that upwind was super interesting, and it really looked like, Alegre coming in from that top left, it really showed how powerful that left-hand side is, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next race, on the next upwind, we see the teams really fighting to get there, and I think that will completely probably change the starting strategy as well. So yeah, that's one to probably watch out for.
And I guess that's because we're getting closer to the land and closer to the effect of that big lump of mountain to windward.
Yeah, exactly. I think, on the way out there was a bit more breeze in here as well, but yeah, I think that we're kind of in prime spot, close enough to the shore where you do get that left-hand wind bend, and it potentially is a bit flatter in here as well, so it is kind of just, all the factors are there for it to be a left-hand racetrack.
It's just amazing to see, the first three boats really punch out of that fleet. I mean, they just got the jump early, didn't they? And now they haven't really looked back.
They did. I mean, they're able to kind of sail their own races, albeit they following the same broad strategy. But it's really mentally dispiriting for the boats that are way back, Alpha Plus and Gladiator in particular. Well, Alpha Plus to a greater or lesser degree, Crayola. I'd say Crayola have got themselves back up to 7th. Considering what was going on.
Considering that bottom mark.
Considering that bottom mark. But maybe that's right. You remember you said they were going off to the right, or they sailed right out to the right side. Maybe they just decided they would sail the shifts as best they could from there. But it's a nice little recovery. But Preveza then really in a strong position.
Really strong, yeah. That you could just sort of see all the fleet on port, and they're just sort of locked in down to leeward on port as well. So it's good to note just from these drone shots, you just see the puffs and the veins.
Well, you do. I'm just thinking about Platoon Aviation out on that left side. What we were seeing was the veins of pressure. Again, we're talking about that big lump of mountain there. There's a lee. Off that mountain, then to the left of it, looking downwind, then you'll see that's what's allowing the pressure to accelerate off the land. You want to use that and then come in on that. Now that's maybe what Vasco and Jordi Calafat are looking for. Correspondingly, Preveza on the other side of it. We'll see whether I'm not entirely sure that Platoon Aviation are not going to be challenging for second through the finish line, but we will see. Certainly, Katie, Platoon Aviation fighting all the time. There's no consolidation. There's no concessions given. And there you get a better perspective of it's capping out back, I think they say, Katie.
Nailed it. Yeah, Platoon fully fighting. I think it was getting a bit softer out on this side, actually. It feels a bit softer over here, so early dive was nice. Head out towards the caps out back.
I think there needs to be a gin and tonic for the first person that can see capped out back in any race.
I fully agree, because it'll normally be me.
Anyway, I mean, I think Platoon Aviation are not out of this at all, but let's wait and see. They're jibing back. Maybe not. There's maybe running out of runway, but all credit to the German flag 3 times world champions on the attack all the time, giving nothing away. But I think really credit mostly due to Preveza sailing another impeccable race.
And also, Andy, nice to see that Alkedo Settler might get a bit of mojo back from this one.
I think the mojo will be back in blue, and just at the right time.
It's closer than it sort of looks. Their Platoon really on the charge, so
they are. Yeah,
I wouldn't count them out.
I wouldn't count them out, especially as Platoon Aviation could get round inside. It's got the momentum. This has to be a really excellent jibe, plus acceleration coming out of it for that's not perfect, but it's they'll start to accelerate now, but it's going to be very, very close between Platoon Aviation and Alkedo Settler, under a little bit of pressure. Preveza over 200 metres clear, and then the best part of 500 metres, half a kilometre between Platoon Aviation and Trinity Racing.
And we see Sled out there as well, Andy, just at the top of your screens on the track. They've gone as far right, looking upwind, as any boat has.
In the water,
yeah.
Along with Platoon, but look at that, interesting. We're going to get a jibing match here. This is going to be fantastic. They've got Preveza, actually not the best of jibes from Platoon at the moment, but getting the kite round. I think they're going to keep going back to that strand of pressure. We can see the dark water in the top right of our screens at the moment. I think that Platoon Alkedo Settler are going into lighter pressure there, Robbie, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it does look like it. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. You sort of got to make the decision whether you go with them or you do hold true and stay, but it does look like they're going into a little bit of lighter pressure potentially.
Indeed. Whether this pressure comes down with Platoon Aviation or not. Katie, you're in position to comment.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think Platoon has definitely found a gain out there, and they clearly want to see if they can get back into it. But having said that, it requires more jibes, more manoeuvres, and if the manoeuvres aren't perfect, then it's slower. So Alkedo, I mean, looking upwind, just looking to the left of me as I'm looking upwind, there does look to be a little bit of pressure out here still now. So I think actually looks like Alkedo's pretty happy to kind of continue into this pressure. But I think if I was Platoon, you've got a big old gap behind you. Why wouldn't you go for the attack? Why wouldn't you try and force a split and see if you can take the boat in front of you? So I think it's going to come down to the wire, I reckon, on this one.
Indeed. At the same time, Alkedo have got themselves into Preveza just a little bit, but they have to jibe. But all the pressure inside them, Robbie, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it. And also, I think it's quite strong for Platoon to come into that sort of engagement with Alkedo with the swell. They're on the jibe that has the swell behind them. So I think that's also a really, really strong point. So
you can see they're sailing quite low on that breeze they have out there. And that allows them, if the breeze eases slightly as they get down the course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call it too far out, but they could even be challenging the lead here. I mean, just from this drone shot, it looks like they're really back into contention.
Yeah, indeed, just on the strength of that pressure. But certainly Preveza's lead dropping like a stone for the meantime. And Preveza have Alkedo to contend with slightly more. There's less than a metre or 100 metres now between Preveza and Alkedo.
Platoon looking really good, Andy.
Platoon looking good, not only fast, but sailing a lower angle more directly towards the finish. Correspondingly, Allegra behind there with the blue front to their kite. It's not all looking golden for Preveza for the moment, but
you see the difference in speed
boat
there.
Speed, yeah. Platoon Aviation doing 15.5. They're 3 knots quicker for the moment. What can
Got
prevent
Platoon on starboard as well.
Platoon on starboard, yes, indeed. So what do Preveza do at this point? Do they want to jibe inside or try and just get across? It's going to be a little bit closer than we thought for the meantime.
No, I think they just cross over. I think there's no point putting one in and really tight on the other boat. So just sort of back yourself, continue out to that right-hand side, potentially pick up a bit more pressure, and just back yourself, really. Just keep going.
Just keep going. You've got Alkedo Settler on their hip, but let's wait and see. It's also going to be a little bit of what the bias is on the finish line, but it's going to be close. Actually, I think in the end, Platoon Aviation have got a long way to get round there, trying to get into the pin end of the finish line. Slightly closer for them, but it's going to be okay, I think, for Preveza. Whether Platoon Aviation can get in for second, we thought that was going to be a little bit closer. Preveza just...
Interesting. They almost sort of thought that boat was the finish there, but obviously
that's right. Well, that boat's obviously just in there. It is between the two marks, and that's going to work for. So that was a close run thing for Preveza in the end. But Platoon Aviation getting in there, stealing second.
You see Alkedo having to luff up at the end.
Alkedo just not quite getting the finish line right. However, they get a third, which is, as you said, Robbie, mojo back in town for Alkedo, and a great recovery, Katie, from Allegra. I mean, they were super deep at one point, I think down in 10th or 11th, and coming through to pull back into 4th, a long way ahead of Trinity. And this is, I think, Value just behind, isn't it, Robbie?
No, that's Sled, actually.
Sled,
so they caught up a lot.
They've caught up a lot as well.
We saw them go out the far right-hand side, and they had about 5 knots boat speed difference, and they really made it up.
So on the finish line, it's Preveza, Platoon, Alkedo. Very, very close for 6th. I think Trinity will just get there. Paprec might have got there in front of them.
Very close. It looks to me like there's been a big left-hand shift coming down here, and that was just at the wrong time for Alkedo when they sort of overstood that mark. But
and the
you
wrong
see
time.
Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity will just about get there. And then it's Value are the ones that are struggling, just a little bit downwind with not enough power. And in fact, Alpha Plus will come through, might even pip Trinity. I think Trinity getting there in time. Then it's Alpha Plus. Then it's going to be Value. Value end up being one of the losers coming down this final run. Then it's Paprec. Then actually Gladiator in there. And Criollo over on the boat end of the line. And No Way Back losing out significantly.
Wow. Look how many boats there are just in that one little space.
I know, but that seems to be the way we're seeing it in race after race here in the 52 Super Series. It's not over till it's over, Katie, is it?
It very much is not. That finish was carnage. I think I'm almost more stressed looking at what happens after the finish line, because I'm like, where do these boats go? They're all fighting to get through the finish line, but then what happens afterwards when you've got 6 boats there? But that was crazy. I think, as Robbie said, potentially a bit of a shift. The right-hand side, looking at wind, it seemed really strong on that downwind. Definitely brought the boats all a lot closer together. Impressive from Gladiator to make it back from. They were pretty far back at the lewards, and really tricky for No Way Back. You're going to be kind of pretty disheartened after that one, after having lost that many places on the finish line. And it's going to be, they're going to need to figure out how they can bounce back.
Indeed, but all credit then to Preveza coming away with their win, just keeping their nerve at the end. And similarly, Platoon Aviation just pipping Alkedo Settler on the finish line. That was about taking the opportunity as it presented itself, Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think unfortunate for Alkedo, potentially thought that committee boat that was anchored out there was sort of the end of the finish line, which wasn't the case.
Boys, yeah.
We talked about them trying to get their mojo back. Obviously, getting just pipped at the line, it takes a little bit of that back, but I think they'd be overall happy with that race.
Yeah, I mean, what did they do right? What did they get right this time, or as opposed to getting, what they were doing wrong before?
No, I think they just got their noses in front to start the race, and just were sailing clean and willing to, put their boat in the right positions relative to the other ones off the start, and then just sort of gapped it off from there. We saw the top 3 really break away, and they were just, up there and fighting, and then that's the result that they get from it.
Indeed, a great recovery from Allegra, Katie. When you talk about getting their mojo back, that will be a real boost to their confidence. So too Sled. Sled were pretty deep, and again, a team that never say die, never give up until the finish gun goes. So credit to both these teams for that recovery.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Allegre, we were barely even, we kind of were speaking about them at the start of that first up win, but after that we were kind of barely speaking about them, and then all of a sudden there they were again. Really impressive job. I think they kept it it looked like they just kind of kept it really simple and just kind of wanted to get out to the left-hand side, didn't overcomplicate it, found clean lanes, sailed fast, and they can take a lot of confidence from that. I mean, if they can, and same with Sled, if they can come back from kind of so deep in the fleet to get to further forward, they've clearly got the speed to do it, so they can take confidence from that. It's just getting themselves in the right positions.
I mean, I think there's confidence and confidence, though, isn't there? I think there's confidence and confidence, Robbie, when you kind of you make a big play in that final run and it pays off, it gives you the result, but you're also analysing what was going wrong before that, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost a double confident, right? Because you sort of had the perspective, and the feeling that you were at the back of the fleet, and then you end up at in the front bunch. So yeah, it sort of doubles down, doesn't it?
You're trying to work out what you were doing wrong that brought you down in the back of the fleet in the first place. That's much more productive, proactive than how you made that final gain that gave you a decent position. But anyway, all credit to Allegra. They needed a good score, and so too Sled. Sled were pretty deep in that race at some points, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. We even mentioned it when they had the projected points on the second upwind. They were, in 10th place or so. So halving the points for this race coming into the finish. Yeah, it gives you a little bit more of a boost knowing that you were at the back of the pack and you can work your way through, which obviously these guys can.
Indeed, we're talking with Francesco Bruni last night after the race. He's saying, nothing changes. We carry on with the same processes. The boat's fast. We've got confidence in ourselves, and obviously that final run again. A team that are never shy of doing their own thing if they see the pressure working for them. It's great. It's interesting to see just all the time now these aerial shots from the drone. You really get how the breeze matches the topography at the back of the racecourse, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You sort of see the streaks of the breeze and then the undulation, I guess, of the topography. You're absolutely right. It really matches up. And I think the clouds, I don't know what it looks like for Katie, but the clouds might sort of be burning off a little bit more.
That looks to be the case. Anyway, let's look at the regatta standings then. At one point, Preveza had 2 points on Platoon Aviation in that race. It's now down to just a single point. They were tied going into that race. Anyway, first and second today, looking good for the two Ps. Preveza in first place on 16 points. Second, Platoon Aviation, 17 points. Vayu third on 25. They have a 7-point gap to Trinity Racing, moving up this table by virtue of that 6th place in that race, and Criolla in 5th, Paprec in 6th, Sled in 7th. Now they were 10th, weren't they, in the earlier on in the day, so things moving slightly better for them. Bear in mind, of course, there's only 3 points or 4 points between 4th and indeed 9th, so really everything to play for. But there's Allegra then in 9th, no way back down in 10th, only in 39. But the top 3 boats, Robbie, starting to move clear.
Yeah, really, really nice. You see the scoreline is quite consistent, or definitely relative to the rest of the fleet. No big double-digit numbers for either of those front 3 boats, so doing a really nice job of just being consistent on their scorecard.
Indeed, but some work to be done. But certainly things moving in the right direction for Sled, I would say. Paprec, a little bit not happy with that 9th place.
Yeah, absolutely. They sort of dropped back in that sort of race. We saw them off the start and we talked about it. They were just sort of in the pocket and not able to catch free. So that meant they were fighting at the back of the pack, hence the 9th for Paprec. But you mentioned sort of potentially a bit of momentum for Sled as well.
Indeed then, so that was race 5, the midpoint of our 10 race regatta. Let's look at the season standings now. Well, there's just a single point now between Platoon Aviation and Sled. Platoon Aviation, though, have taken over the season standings lead at the midpoint of this regatta. They're 1 point ahead of Sled. Alkedo correspondingly have jumped back into third after Paprec's ninth in that race, and they're third, so good work from the Italians. Then Trinity Racing 9 points behind. No Way Back 4 points behind Trinity Racing. A single point between No Way Back and Pravetsa. Pravetsa moving up the table too. Alpha Plus in 8th, Criolla 9th, Vayu in 10th, Allegra in 11th, and Gladiator in 12th. That is the standings for the 2026 season at the midpoint of this regatta here in Puerto Calero. And now that will be 15 races left in the season. It doesn't sound like very much now, Robbie, does it?
No, it doesn't, and especially for these teams trying to capture every little point with only 15 races after, a whole season, a whole year of racing. It's
but
really
it also just seems like yesterday that we were in Puerto Portales, but that's the way these seasons roll. We've got a nice big gap between now and Valencia. But anyway, we'll take a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a break before we go into race number 6. Join us again in a few minutes.
Palm Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
it's safe, and you can see it. It's easy for me to show, but sometimes I'm really brave, and that just means that I'll try again tomorrow. It's my dark created mountains where the valleys used to be. Gotta change perspective if I really want to see that sunrise over the water. I swam over and under, get lost in all the wonder, never call it quits, no. When life hit me apart, I went faster and farther. I just gotta remember I was made for this. Among the waves, let them take me as far as they want to go. And it's time for me to say, they won't break me, I'm braver than I know. It's my dark created mountains where the valleys used to be. Gotta change perspective if I really want to see it. Sunrise over the water, I swam over and under. Get lost in all the wonder, never call it quits, no. When life hit me apart, I went faster and farther. I just gotta remember I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this. I was made for this. Creating mountains where the valleys used to be, and all the things I thought I knew were changing like the seas. Yeah, but I have overcome it all, and I'm still here. Oh, I gotta change perspectives if I really want to see. Sunrise over the water, I swam over and under. Get lost in all the wonder, never call it quits, no. When life hit me apart, I went faster and farther. I just gotta remember I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this. I was made for this. me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Good feeling. You wanna know is how to hold on to it every moment. Dive into it like my love is an ocean. It's overflowing. I swear it's golden. So good that I'm rolling. Baby, you make me crazy. I'm seeing roses. Baby, just maybe you save me. Oh, take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine. Take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Good feeling. You wanna do is move with me, I'm seeing blue, yeah. In a disco-colored room, hearts are blooming. It's so consuming. Love what you're doing, so good that I'm doomed, yeah. Baby, you make me crazy. I'm seeing roses. Baby, just maybe you save me. Oh, take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Good feeling.
That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together in an alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together in an alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are.
So welcome back to Puerto Calero in the island of Lanzarote. We've seen race 5 going straight into race 6. Maybe looking like the breeze has picked up a little bit. That was the forecast. Katie Dabson on the water.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely breezed up a bit. I've had to put my trousers on as well as just my jacket. But yeah, the breeze is up, the sea state is getting up. I think it's going to be a bit of a different race course this time. I think it's going to be, they're going to have to be setting the boats up for a bit more breeze. A bit harder to sail the boats through this chop. A little bit, breezier on the upwinds and downwinds, probably a bit more stacked towards the back of the boat in terms of weight downwinds. It's going to be fruity.
Indeed, and it looks like the skies have cleared. There's less cloud around, there's some blue sky around. It makes a slightly more technicolor picture, but I think there's a little bit of thermal enhancement in the breeze as well. Perhaps it's looking great, Robbie.
Yeah, that's right. It's nice to see the breeze up a little bit. I think it's a bit of a decision-making time for these boats as well, if they want to sort of stick with their configuration and their sail package that they had for that first race, or whether they want to change. I know that 16 knot mark, which I think is around about what we have at the moment, is sort of that crossover between that J2 and J3. So a bit of decision time for these teams, Andy.
Indeed, but the decisions will have been made, and indeed, I guess in big picture, they look at how the wind will trend for the day, make their sail choices, or certainly set up the chase boats for their preferred sail choices earlier in the day, and then it's the final decisions have been made. But what's your view on that, Katie?
Sorry, 2 seconds. Could you just repeat the question?
I was just asking about sail choices. Well, what are we thinking at the moment? We're just on kind of 15, 16 knots.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tricky one because the forecast is meant to continue to build. So it's kind of the decision between, do you race in what you've got now and hope that the breeze stays, or do you kind of hedge your bets and expect it to build a little bit more? The races are an hour long, so you are kind of having to predict what's going to be the case for kind of the whole race, not just what you've got now. But yeah, they definitely would have been having conversations. I didn't see any, there wasn't any main changes or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's just, they kind of clearly made the decisions early, happy to stick with it, and just going to make the most out of what setup they're on.
So we're just starting to see the fleet set up, trying to position themselves on the line at 1 minute 15 to go. Criolla at the pin end of the line once again. Paprec down here, Vayu down here this time. And then a little bit of a gap. Gladiator down here as well, trying to find themselves a gap. Then a little bit busier up at the committee boat end of the line, Robbie.
Yeah, it is a bit busier up at that boat end, but just looking at these boats at the pin, they're really, really tight on this pin lay line for me, so they'll just want to keep it as high as possible. They are a little bit further back with about 45 seconds to go, but sort of that middle is really, really congested. So look to see a Platoon, Aviation and Alkedo Settler, see who really comes out of that middle pack, Andy.
Certainly Settler, Alkedo Settler seem to have got themselves a nice punched out and got a little nice spot there. Got a little bit of runway to leeward relative to Platoon Aviation and Criolla here in the foreground. Vayu quite bow forward on the fleet, maybe a little bit vulnerable depending on when the fleets start to move. Up at the top end, once again, well, Trinity Racing are there. Alkedo Settler just coming forward. They had such a good start in terms of time to distance. Meantime, I think that Vayu are going to be pushing it. Let's just wait and see that I've made the perfect start, or a little bit over. A clear start then, so a great start there for Vayu. Gladiator well back, unfortunately. A good start there from Alpha Plus as well. I think looking like Sled got away nicely as well to windward of them. Alpha Plus there going well. Platoon Aviation. What do we think of Platoon's position there, Robbie?
Yeah, a bit of caught up in the middle, but they don't have anyone really threatening them to leeward, so they do have a nice gap. But it looks like those boats just to leeward of them, and then those boats at the windward end might just be a little bit bow forward. Although they do have a really nice gap to work with, and nicely lined up. You see all those boats. Really good start from all the teams.
Indeed, Robbie and Katie. Just looking at focusing in on Provezza and Platoon Aviation at the moment. The best starts. It's really, it's great start at the moment between Provezza actually just dropping back very slightly. Platoon Aviation have momentum. The key thing for Platoon, as Robbie said, they have the opportunity to just dive off and build speed if they want to, or they can rise up and try and affect Alkedo. No Way Back are our early leaders with Sled just to weather off them. Great fly past there. Start to see actually Paprec affecting Vayu.
Yeah, well, didn't expect to see that.
We didn't, not with Vayu. I think, wonder whether Vayu just hesitated and thought they were over. Just didn't really capitalise, having got themselves into position on the line. Unfortunately, they weren't going super fast, Katie, were they?
Yeah, I think that is literally the prime example of being a bit close to the line and having to trigger a bit later and doing a bit of a slower trigger versus having a bit more time and accelerating early. And that's literally the prime example of what happens after a minute of lane holding. The boat that's accelerated a bit later and going fast at the go, they just have the momentum and they just carry on the speed, and it means that the boat that's accelerated later ends up probably getting spat out the back because they really struggled to hold that lane.
Unfortunately, Gladiator not just really getting a start at all, having come away from their favoured position at the windward end of the line, found themselves battling to try and get a space on the line, ended up being late and they're a long way back. Meantime, it's Trinity going out to the big right tack for them at the moment, going out to the right of the upwind.
Yeah, really interesting decision from Trinity there. It looked to me like they had a lane just with Sled just to lure to them, but they decided actually, I want to tack out. Here we go. As we just look at the screen now, Andy, really tough spot for Provezza. So they just got really caught up. The Alkedo did a nice job to creep up and be in their dirty air, and then Provezza had to do a really slow tack there. So tough loss for them. But just as I was saying with Trinity, interesting to see that their strategy is to go out to that right-hand side.
It's a long way across there, but we've seen that before. This has been their modus operandi many times this year. Maybe thinking the breeze is a little bit more even on this racetrack now.
Yeah, potentially just with that cloud cover burning off, it sort of evens up the game.
Yeah, certainly looks quite even on the tracker, doesn't it?
It does. These boats that are sort of hung in there on the starboard board are sort of all sort of even. Sled and No Way Back having a bit of a dominant position, but yeah, it is quite even as we head up to sort of the halfway point in this first beat.
So a small change in there. Good to see Sled up in the in a strong position early on in this race. Platoon Aviation in third.
I was just thinking about it.
So Provezza really have got some work to do, not able to get themselves into decent lane for the moment.
Yeah, that was a tough tack that they had to do, so they'll have to work their way out. But I was thinking about Sled after that first race. I think they'll take a little bit of momentum. Obviously, it was just a fifth, so nothing to fully write home about for their team and their sort of performance, but I think it's just a little bit of momentum for them.
Provezza attacking again, Katie. Just trying to get out to that right side. Now, for me, actually, Trinity Racing already looking good on that right side there. And sailing high and fast and in a big clear lane. Now then, let's see what happens with this main group. I think certainly there's a little bit of a right-hand breeze, just looking at how Allegra are for the moment, for example. Seem to be bow up.
Yeah, I think they are. And I mean, most of the boats are on starboard tack, and you see Trinity out to that far right-hand side, so I think you can expect them to gain a little bit out of this right-hand pressure, but we saw after the first race, or during the first race, that left potentially does have the potential to come back in.
Certainly come back in the further up the course you go, but let's wait and see. Just watching how Alpha Plus are going quite bouncy there, Robbie, aren't they? They're in big big swell, big chop.
Yeah, they are. They're really getting thrown around. I think most of these boats are, but I think it's because Alpha Plus are just on that other tack, that port board at the moment, and I think that's really when you're starting to punch into the waves. So I think you see these starboard tackers potentially going through the waves a little bit smoother, but those port tack boats really finding it hard.
Indeed, just watching Trinity Racing there. going fast and directly into the waves, as it were. Or it's just slightly across. It's not affected them as much. But on board there, Joachim Sundberg, then the owner-driver, as ever, looking cool, calm and collected, doesn't get stressed easily. Great concentration there in front of Roscoe Halkro.
Nice to see a mostly Swedish-dominated team, isn't it? I mean, there's obviously a couple who are from different nations, but it's mostly, you know, Swedish, and it's nice to see a sort of home team, if that sort of makes sense.
Indeed, I think, and I think the objective in the longer term is to bring more and more Scandinavian sailors into the programme and do something which is to the wider benefit of Scandinavian sailors and Swedish sailors. But I think that's long term. The medium term is to be top 3 on the circuit standings, and medium to long term to be winning. But this is only their first season, and they certainly make a big impression on the 52 Super Series. Finished runners up at the World Championship in Puerto Calero.
Yeah, they really came out firing, didn't they? I mean, even the first event in Portals, they put on a good show. So amazing to see just a team that's, you know, right from the get-go, first season, just coming out firing, especially in such a performance fleet.
It did, but this feels quite a dynamic first upwind, Katie. Everything changing all the time. Sled, though, holding their position as the best of the main group. But once again, I'd say that Trinity Racing there, sailing very slightly higher. Now, who's that just the weather of them? Is that Allegro?
It's Preveza out there as well.
Yeah, but just to the weather of Trinity.
Yeah, I mean, it looks on the tracker like it is Preveza, but they're obviously a bit deeper.
Yeah.
So hard to sort of get a gauge. There it is.
A Valure there as well, but they're slightly to leeward. Anyway, interesting then, we're talking about them, and Paprec are judged to be the leaders on this left side. I think I really like the position of Sled for the moment, Katie.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think they've done a really good job of tacking when they did. Although having said that, it's not too dissimilar to what Allegro did in the first race, tacking a bit earlier, and it opened the door for all of the boats in above them to kind of manage to get around the protector mark and get around the windward mark in front. So I wouldn't write off the boats out to the left. Although having said that, if Paprec and Alkedo keep kind of engaging in this little tacking battle that they seem to be doing, then they'll just open the door for everyone else by doing just 3 more manoeuvres than everyone. But yeah, I think on this race course, it's looking like the left-hand side, again, similar to last race, is pretty strong. But I do think there is opportunities on that right-hand side. I think it's the left-hand side is safer, but there is something on the right sometimes, because I think second lap of the last race, Criolla kind of went pretty far out to the right, got on that starboard ley line pretty early, and they made quite a lot of gains from the penalty at the leeward. So as I said, I think there's left-hand side is strong. Let's keep an eye on where the boat's out far left, no way back, like especially no way back. I think keep an eye on no way back versus Sled, because I think that's going to be potentially quite a tight and interesting one to see who's picked the better lane to tack back in, basically. Who's picked the better time, the better shift to tack back in.
Indeed, once again, I guess from the left, that protector mark, the ley line to the protector mark is again critical.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it doesn't look like anyone's gone as aggressively over it as they did in the last race. Everyone seems to be a little bit more comfortable on it, but I still do think it is quite an important tactical part of a very important tactical part of the race, and I would expect some of the teams to be using it to their advantage and trying to get close to it and really trying to kind of jostle for position so that they've got no one overlapped or anything like that.
It's interesting, Robbie, that Preveza had to tack out to get clear air, and they've done that. which I think can still be to their, or they can still make gains where they are, considering that all the other boats to the left are so engaged with other boats. You know, just looking at Alpha Plus versus Platoon Aviation, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for both Preveza and Trinity, who were on that right-hand side, I think as they were sort of coming back across the fleet, we're potentially seeing a bit of a left-hand shift now. So a bit of a consolation, a bit of a concede from both those boats. But just on Trinity there, I think there was a reason why Ed Baird and team wanted to get out to that right-hand side early. Katie mentioned that, you know, potentially early right and sort of top left is potentially the game plan.
Indeed, well, let's wait and see how that plays out. But it's fascinating stuff at the moment. Good breeze. Platoon Aviation fighting here with the boys on Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus just trying to hold their lane. Nick Egnott-Johnson keeping the bow up as best as he can. Keep the power on. Under pressure from Platoon Aviation, just allured Robbie.
Yeah, really in a tight spot there, but fortunately they've got a little bit more breeze, so they can potentially put it in a bit of a high mode and sort of keep that power, can't they? Just with a little more pressure, then they can just sort of stay there and live, but very tough spot for them.
Very tough spot for them, and not easy either for Platoon Aviation, though they're up in third for the moment. But it's a great battle, really, isn't it, with Sled and Platoon now. Platoon, as we said just before we started the race, Platoon having taken over from Sled at the top of the table. So it's like every point, every place has a direct effect on the top placing for the circuit standings. 'Twas ever thus, but so too the battle between for third between Paprec and Alkedo Vitamina. At the moment, Alkedo in 10th, Paprec in 11th. So it's amazing, isn't it, how these little matchups are just going on all the time. When there you go, projected points for this regatta. If positions stay the same through the finish line, it would be Platoon Aviation leading by certainly 4 or 5 points at the moment, but there's a long way to go in this race. We're only just over halfway up, just started to think about the final approach into the top mark. Trinity Racing then potentially leading at the moment. Certainly got plenty of breeze there, Robbie, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's full stack, full hike, and you see the main sheet men have to work very hard. You know, in these puffs you don't want to heel over a lot. You really want to help out the driver who's trying to not use as much helm as possible. So it's a real fine game of easing, and then, you know, once you sort of get level and that mast comes up right again, you really want to get that power in the boat. So everyone working really hard to get through what is, you know, a little bit more puff and a bit of trickier conditions now.
There we go, as they go into the tack. Then Andy Axelsson there, the big Swedish grounder on the half pumps. Nice tack from Trinity Racing. Looking like they have a reasonable lead now. They're Ed Baird, the tactician. Platoon Aviation hanging in there nicely in third. Criolla once again up in the top third of the fleet, Katie.
Yeah, I think what Criolla have done really nicely is both races today, they've started the most kind of pin-end boat, and I'm pretty sure they did in this race as well, but yeah, they've kind of like managed to give themselves space to be able to sail their own, sail fast on the bottom of the pack, and it just meant that they've kept clear of everyone and actually managed to get out to the left-hand side, which, as I said, it's the left-hand side. I would say it's a safe side. So if you can get a good start and get out to that left-hand side, then you're going to be in a pretty comfortable position at the top. It might not win you the race. It might not get you first to the windward mark, but it will definitely get you in a position to be able to fight for it.
Indeed, but first time we've seen Trinity Racing leading around a windward mark here in Puerto Calero, and I think probably I'm right to say in Lanzarote. I don't think they led round any windward marks in Marina Rubicon, but so credit to them for the meantime.
No, they did a nice job of conceding and taking the left shift when it came, and, you know, sort of eating up a bit of their lead, carrying on with the boats, but then equally tacking over into a nice righty coming into this top mark. So bit of a lead actually for them, isn't it?
A nice lead indeed. I think Sled will be happy with that. Platoon Aviation in a little bit of bother where they are, but they're underlaid for the moment, Katie, aren't they? Got 2 boats above them.
They're looking quite tight on ley line, and that's only probably going to get a bit worse because they've got boats above them that are going to be taking their breeze. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're kind of going for a double tack. Yeah, I was just wondering if they were going to bail out or if they were going to try a double tack, but it looks like they're using No Way Back, hopefully as a bit of a buffer between them and the rest of the fleet, managing to squeeze a double tack in there. I'd say that's pretty lucky that they've been able to do that. But yeah, managing to get away from that potentially tricky big mistake, but managing to get away with it.
They're still not out of it there with No Way Back. That's really, really close, isn't it? They're really tight on that lane line as well.
They are indeed. I don't think Terry will be giving much away there, but penalty for Preveza we're just hearing. Not sure what happened there, but that's really going to open the door for Platoon Aviation in terms of the regatta overall. But a really messy windward mark. Just starting off with Platoon Aviation kind of underlaying. But very different to what we've seen so far, and in fact Alkedo ending up coming around in last place, Katie.
Yeah, they had
Gladiator having to take a penalty. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh man, no, that's not ideal. Yeah, I think with Platoon, for example, having to do that double tack, No Way Back coming in quite late on port, it just really, really compresses everyone on that starboard ley line, and it just makes it really, really tricky. And it's that's why we see so many penalties, because the boats are so compressed and they're still trying to manoeuvre and trying to get kind of the best positions. And yeah, that's why we see penalties, and it takes a lot of good communication, and it takes a lot of kind of quick thinking and quick communication to be able to get out of those situations scot-free.
Indeed, so tough for Preveza having to get a penalty there, and all to the credit of Trinity Racing and Sled. Sled really going nicely there, great shots, bows on of the world champion.
Yeah, really opening it up, aren't they, and coming with the swell, so a beautiful shot of Sled, especially with the fleet behind them as well. I think they like these conditions.
Just to correct ourselves, we heard there was a penalty to Preveza. Penalty was on Gladiator. Obviously, we saw them taking that penalty. Apologies to Preveza fans, but Sled fans, they'll be super happy then. Great shots on the bow of the world champions boat. Platoon Aviation will be moving 2 or 3 points clear. Trinity Racing moving up to third, overtaking Value. Could be heading for their second podium of the season, but credit to Crayola, they're really going really nicely.
Yeah, not surprising to see Trinity Racing, take an early jibe, let everyone sort of come to the right-hand side of them, and then put in a bit of a blocking jibe, bit of a defensive jibe in, just to stay in touch with the fleet, but then still sort of consolidate on your lead. So not surprising to see them just below the fleet there, Andy.
Indeed, Allegra having a good upwind, getting around that top mark in good shape. Looking like a much better day, Katie, for Andy Soriano and the team.
Yeah, I think so far on leg 2 of this race, that was a very bold call this early on. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely a lot more in the mix. They had a good, last race was good. They made a really good comeback, clearly sailing the boat really well. And they have got themselves into a really good position on this first lap of this race to really be competitive and really kind of push the front of the fleet.
So there we go. Platoon Aviation in 5th, Preveza in 9th. Our top 2 boats, but as we were saying, just seeing a moment ago, Trinity Racing then they're leading this race. If we can hold on, that would get them up onto the podium, but still expecting a couple of big days through Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, that lead's definitely
shrinking all the time, isn't it? Yeah, under pressure from Sled. Sled have momentum, but Trinity have the position inside.
I think I can't emphasize it enough just how much of a difference there is sailing on starboard than there is port, especially on the downwinds. I mean, one way you're going with the waves and one way you're not, you're sort of punching into it. So just can't stress how important that is. It comes into tactics as well if you're sort of trying to fight with another boat, but you see these boats just come with the swell. They look awesome, but then you look pretty not famous if you're on the other board, Andy.
Indeed. But great shots there with Crayola up in fourth. You really want them to come away with a decent result from here. But sailing well and consistently. Not such a good race last time, but they were certainly up there in the early part of the race.
Yeah, they've just been sort of chipping away, haven't they? So fourth place for them. Hopefully they can just get a little bit better, but they do have the attackers Platoon right on their hammer.
And talking about attacks, Sled attacking Trinity Racing all the time as best they can. Just giving chase, trying to get on their breeze, get on their quarter wave, get right into the black boat. But great images, what fantastic race course, what a brilliant arena Lanzarote is providing us at the moment. See that stronger pressure than the gust coming down off the shore. Working just now for the boats on our right. Allegri will get it. Allegri sailing a slightly higher angle in the meantime relative to Trinity and Sled. But the wave's just not quite big enough to surf really, Robbie, are they?
No, that's right. They're sort of punching into them on this way, so it doesn't look as pretty, but you know, Trinity doing a really good job of defending. You know, there's no sort of option there for Sled to pass them. So yeah, really nice sort of defensive move just to jibe in front of them, and it looks like they've got, you know, most of the fleet sort of packed away. But I think this bottom gate will be pretty interesting, especially with the fleet in the middle of the pack.
Indeed, Sled doing all they can to catch Trinity in the moment. There's only about 40 or 50 metres between them. Let's have a quick look at the Trinity crew lineup. Joachim Sindberg is the helmsman, Ed Baird, the America's Cup winning tactician, Johan Barn, Swedish navigator, has long experience in the 52 Super Series fleet, used to be originally with Platoon Aviation. Martin Stromberg is on the runners with Jake Lilly, the big Australian ex-Finn sailor. Guido Desiderato, who's the Italian main trimmer from North Sails, Italy. Roscoe Halker, of course, needs no introduction as America's Cup and Ocean Race winning trimmer. 3 times world champion with Platoon Aviation. Oscar Anderson is the other trimmer. Andreas Axelsson, the big grinder, along with Marcus Lakerhurst. Niels Ackerville is in the pit. Emil Forgsen in the mid-bow, and Juanpa Barcus, the hardest working bowman in show business, on the bow of Trinity Racing. New recruit recently to the team, and it's working well for the team at the moment. Just leading Sled for the moment.
Just looking at this
Platoon Aviation have got themselves up to fourth, just taking Crayola down this run, Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just going to say that exactly. I think Platoon have just sort of overtaken Crayola, just electing to jibe inside and sail a little bit less distance. Most of the boats sort of have similar boat speed around that 15 knot mark, so I think it's really going to come down to who gets the shift at the bottom here. And it looks like Platoon's nicely set up. Potentially Crayola might have a piece for this right turn. We'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see on board with the Crayola team.
Looks like they're sailing quite high, actually. In fact, you see the name bubbling there, just trying to depower the boat. So potentially just gone a little bit too far for this top, bottom mark.
But they're going well, having a good race so far. Platoon actually seem to have got themselves through Allegri for the meantime, but let's see whether that holds. Allegri still have to jibe. Platoon and Crayola will come in the same jibe, Katie, won't they?
Yeah, I think Platoon and Allegri, they are definitely going to have come together at the bottom. It looks like Platoon and Crayola, I have been looking at their speeds, and they have been potentially a little bit faster out here, which makes me think that they are maybe a little bit overlaid to that mark. They're sailing a little bit more distance, as Robbie was saying. but they are on the inside for this mark. If they do want to go for a right-hand turn at the bottom, then they are in the perfect position to do so because they have all of the rights coming into the leeward marks. They have room around the mark on the likes of Allegre and all the other boats out that other side. So it's just whether they can get to the zone, to the three-boat zone before the boats on the other side, or whether they've overlaid a little bit too much and just given away a little bit too much distance. But yeah, I think we'll have to just kind of wait and see how that plays out.
Certainly Platoon especially coming in with the slightly faster angle. Trinity a little bit slow just now, going down more directly downwind. Actually Sled probably coming in slightly quicker, Robbie, on the left, going to the right mark.
Yeah, that was an interesting one for me because Trinity did choose their time to jibe and probably want a right turn, but I'm surprised that Sled didn't go on top of them and give them a bit more grief. They were just happy to just go past them a couple lengths and jibe, so it does indicate to me, you're right, Andy, that Sled will take the left-hand turn and Trinity will take the right-hand one.
We'll see, but Sled drop earlier coming into the mark. The mark probably a little bit biased to the right-hand mark looking upwind.
Yeah, it looks like
a little bit of a puff coming down the course behind them, but it actually be quite even through the gate. In fact, both boats turning at almost exactly the same time. And Platoon Aviation will come through in third.
Platoon doing a good job of just breaking that overlap as well, so all rights for them on this right-hand turn. You can't imagine anyone want to get caught up again.
A little bit of a problem with the kite there, just having to do a manual drop in the end of the string drops failed. This is going to be expensive for Platoon. In the meantime, really have to get that kite under control and down the hatch. Let's potentially opening the door to Cruella, although certainly Cruella didn't have overlap before they came into the mark, did they?
No, I wouldn't say so.
They're getting away with it. Well, they're not getting away with it. I think Cruella getting a penalty in just the wrong point. They need to get tacked and get their penalty going.
And then they're going into a sea of kites in front of them as well.
This is a little bit of deja vu for the team from Brazil. And I mean, obviously they couldn't predict that Platoon Aviation were going to drop their kite in the water, but this is another drama at the leeward mark that's going to work out well for Paprec as Value push no way back wide. This is all working for the French team, and to a lesser degree Value. Meantime, no way back are the losers. They're pushed way wide. However, they will get a nice tight angle, a little bit slowed as they get towards the mark. This is tough times for the No Way Back team. I think one of these examples of what Peter Harima was telling us earlier on the week is about the finer points of communication, the trying to just execute under pressure. That's what makes the difference in this fleet, where you've got the experience of a few years. But meantime, Sled leading at the top of the table in this race. Trinity Racing in second.
It really puts emphasis on sort of your approach and tactics into the bottom marks, doesn't it, Andy?
That's right. Platoon Aviation and Allegra really close. Slight split for them at the moment. Breeze look to be very slightly lighter where Platoon Aviation are. In the meantime, in terms of the regatta standings, Platoon Aviation in fourth and Provezza still down in 10th. This is a tough race, the worst race yet for yes, indeed, just as I was saying, the worst race yet for Provezza. Just when Robbie was saying in the previous race they still hadn't won in double digits. They are in 10th for the moment. So Platoon Aviation would take over the regatta lead. Provezza would be second. Trinity Racing would be in third as we progress in race number 6 here at the Royal Cup. Starting the second beat.
Yes, Sled
Trinity Racing and Sled just converging once again. But Sled seem to have taken a small advantage since the leeward turn, going to that right hand mark, looking upwind. They've made quite a gain there, Robbie, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It's interesting to see that they sort of crossed over, because we obviously saw Trinity come out of the right-hand side early in that first beat. Equally Sled out the left, so now they've sort of changed over and crossed over, and it looks like just a slight advantage to Sled, but very, very close still. yeah, there's nothing in it between these two boats now, and it'll be interesting to see how they cross over from here.
I'm sure Sled will tack, but it's quite close. And there we go, Trinity just behind Sled. Sled are the race leaders.
Most of
maybe they're, as Robbie said, their mojo's returned. Maybe they've bottomed out in the last day, and today is the rebirth, the renaissance for Sled.
Yeah, most of those boats being on starboard tack, as we can have a look at the 2D here. So most of the boats on starboard, which, you know, sort of indicates that that's the phase, that's the shift currently. So really surprising to see Trinity wanting to take, you know, that port board and really continue out to that right-hand side. Potentially they see a bit more out there, so we'll just keep an eye on that. But all these teams sailing nicely in the breeze, and it's good to see them, you know, hiking out and really letting these boats ride.
Just watching, you say, watching Vasco talking with Jordi Calafat, just discussing what they're seeing, and Jordi there, it's all about exactly, you can see this kind of in action. Vasco's briefing to us this morning, just explaining how they're thinking about the next puff, the next decisions, as they go upwind. Big Dirk the Ridder there, the America's Cup and Ocean Race winning main sheet trimmer. They're just going into their tack. Juan Villa there on the runners.
Yeah, really cool to see sort of as it plays out how they talk to each other, and you saw a few hand signals just sort of pointing potentially at the breeze and how it's sort of going to shift, but really cool to see the dialogue. You know, probably don't have mics on board, so we can't get a full picture, but nice to see, you know, how they're sort of communicating to each other as they sail at the top of the fleet, you know, once again.
Anyway, they're still working on this left side, Katie, aren't they? And why wouldn't they? They have a little bit of margin, well, not really very much to Allegri, but a bit of gap back to Alpha Plus. We still feel the left is quite strong.
Yeah, they've done a really nice...
Yeah, go on, Katie, sorry.
Yeah, they've done a nice job of kind of keeping it simple and going out to this left-hand side. As Robbie was saying, it would be really interesting to hear the comms on the boat. I don't speak German, so I wouldn't understand it, but it would be interesting to know what they were saying anyway, just how that communication works. But yeah, I think keeping it simple, going out, not all the way committing to that left-hand side, because we do know that there is shifts. I mean, we've got a big righty at the top of the last upwind, so they've tacked back in a really good position, given themselves the opportunity to be able to take any more little shifts that come their way, and they're just now kind of trying to make their way back to the middle of the course. I do wonder if Sled will kind of try and slam attack on them a bit, or go for a bit of a loose cover. I think that's probably what I would be expecting to see. And speaking about Trinity heading out to that right-hand side, they definitely favoured that last time. It is interesting how much they are willing to risk right now. I think just looking at their strategy right now, allowing the fleet to get so much leverage on them is quite a high-risk strategy for me. I don't necessarily... I personally don't know if it's necessary when we're in such a good position, but if they see something and they're going for it, then they probably know better than I do. So there we are.
Well, the virtual would back up what they're doing. The tracker seems to have them back in first for the meantime, Katie. But you know, there's a long way to go up this beat. They're going slightly quicker on that right side, upwind, doing 9.3, 9.5 knots compared to 9.5 knots momentarily for Platoon Aviation. But I think they're higher mean boat speed in general.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever want to second guess Ed Baird as such an esteemed and legendary sailor, so I don't want to second guess him. But
no, but I think they're happy to back themselves, and as I say, their general modus operandi, minimum number of tacks, pick a side, go fast, keep it simple, and that's what Ed was telling us before day one of the season, and it works for them often.
Also a bit of a split, just looking further back in the sort of bunch in the middle, bit of a split, as we said, not so tight anymore. Looks like boats have spread out a wee bit across the fleet, so you know you can sort of think that these sorts of positions will start to iron out as we get further up. But once again, I mean, Sled and Platoon still at the top there, Andy.
Indeed. A little bit more of a gap between Sled and Platoon. But it's all about, I think for them, it's a little bit kind of consolidating at the moment. Certainly from Platoon's point of view, not too worried about Allegra in the big picture, but every point, every place is critical, is crucial. But great racing conditions. We're into race 6. Two days of racing to go, finishing on Saturday with big finale with some strong winds expected.
Yeah, it does look like that in the forecast, doesn't it? Just a bit more breeze than we've had in these past sort of days, so I think it's just ramping up throughout the week.
It is indeed. We're expecting the trade winds to become re-established, as Nacho explained earlier on the week. This low pressure system working its way across the Spanish peninsula. The lows are normally much further north in the Atlantic and coming across the south of England, for example. Anyway, there's the projected point standings. It's changing all the time in terms of Platoon Aviation, in terms of the delta, the points delta between them. But clearly, Platoon Aviation are going to have a lead unless Preveza can pull back 3 or 4 places before now and the finish of this race, which is entirely possible. But this is the worst race, this regatta so far for Preveza.
Yeah, well, I think they just haven't sort of got free and got clear like they had in the previous races. They're just getting sort of stuck in the bunch, so having a tough time to fight it out.
They just didn't get off the start line the way they have done previously, Katie, did they?
Yeah, no, not quite, and I think that does make a really big difference, because as we were kind of talking about before the racing, and kind of reflecting on what Vasco was saying, like you do need to get off the start line to be able to make your own decisions, and if you can't, then that's super punishing.
Other people are making your decisions for you, was Vasco's explanation that you put in your book, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That one is very much
That's
now
gold.
in the brain.
He would hate other people making decisions for him, I'm sure.
They would. However, especially Terry. Anyway, all credit to Trinity at the moment with a comfortable lead. And it would be nice to see them put a win on the board. Great for the motivation, short and long term. Did not have the best of regattas in Marina Rubicon, did they?
No, they didn't. They didn't sort of put it together last month for the week of racing that they had, but now you sort of see a different sort of conditions, different setup, and it seems like they're going well now. So, I mean, it's nice to sort of put that behind you and come in fresh, and it looks like they're doing a good job of just keeping it rolling at this event.
Yeah, Trinity finished 6th at the Marina Rubicon a month ago. The best score was a first on the penultimate day. But they had a couple of 12ths and 10ths. I remember them having some technical issues from time to time. So really, this is a good result for them. We'll take them into the second half of the regatta with strong motivation and spirits. So too for Sled, back on board with Criolla. And Criolla working this left side with Vayu. Just steadily making small inroads, considering their leeward mark rounding.
Yeah, they sort of worked that left-hand side on the first beat as well, didn't they? So, sort of same type of thing. I think they were caught up or close to Platoon as well. So
they had to do a penalty at the leeward mark, didn't they?
Yes, they did. No. You're absolutely right. They did get caught up again and had to do a penalty.
So they're not doing badly in 5th then, are they, considering?
They've done well to sort of work this left-hand side and make it work for them. Back up into 5th, and yeah, they just keep chipping away. So it seems to be the case for that Criolla team.
Indeed. Allegra managing to hold firm just now in 3rd. So they're putting together a pretty solid day. Touch wood, Katie, or the Andy Soriano's team.
Yeah, again, another super consistent, or another counter for sure. This time, not having to come from the back of the fleet and from the back, managing to kind of be up there from the first lap and stay there. I think it's really, it's hard to stay in a position when it is kind of this much of a tricky race course. Nothing is a given, and I think they've done a really good job of kind of fighting to stay there. And then we'll have to see how that situation plays out with Platoon. I've just got on the inside line a little bit, so we'll see on that low line how that goes. But I'd imagine they'd probably be rounding in sort of third, fourth position, very much in the mix to be kind of trying to fight and trying to take a top 3, top 2 position on the downwind.
Yeah, a bit of a tough spot there for Trinity. Just sort of as they came together with Team Sled, it just came into a bit of a left-hand shift when they were converging. So just lost out a little bit there. Sled doing a good job of getting that lay line on that spreader mark, and looks like they'll go round with a couple boat lengths lead, Andy.
They will indeed. Trinity chasing hard but losing out. Sled rounding the top mark in first. It was Trinity leading around the top mark first in the first time up. Then now it's Sled, world champions, and Platoon Aviation just crossing in front of Allegra to get round in third, crossing with reasonable comfort. Certainly, and it's going to be close between the Criolla. Criolla going to have to duck behind Allegra, or maybe just, they're okay. But Sled with the upper hand then down this final run. Great day's racing all in all. Nice blue skies, blue seas. Nowhere you'd rather be in the world at this moment. With certainly not for the team on board Sled, I'm quite sure.
No, very jealous of all the teams that are sailing out there today and all the days, to be honest. Lanzarote, both last event and now have really put on some nice conditions. And just as we see the fleet, we just see it a little bit further spread out. Like I mentioned, coming uphill, I think these teams just got a little bit further spread and to the right and to the left, and now we just see some people sort of streaking away and these places sort of being ironed in. But still, it's hard to see the bunches and the middle of the pack becoming spreading out a little bit more and coming down to this final run.
Yeah, a little bit more open on the approaches there, although Preveza unfortunately having to duck all the way behind Paprec. They've only got no way back behind them. So just when we thought things were improving for no way back, it's in the end, it's another tough day for them.
Look at that shot, Andy.
It's fantastic. Yeah, you
awesome.
Get a great bows on shot of the Sled team.
I think, I said it before, but I think they really, really like this sort of condition. The waves, the swell, the wind that they have, a bit more pressure. They're thriving.
That's Francesco Bruni, I think they're on the back corner with the hat just calling the breeze down. Murray Jones working with them. Big Hideki Wakayama, who's the grinder there on the aft pumps. Working hard with Cian Guilfoyle.
Yeah, it's not as much spray coming over the bow as it is as we saw in Rubicon, but still it's nice to see that bow out of the water and they're just skipping with the swell. It's really awesome.
It is beautiful images. Seen there, Criolla hanging in there nicely in fifth. A little bit of a gap back. Everybody pretty much in the same jibe, Katie, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone opting to kind of carry on starboard, keep going. I think though clearly seeing more opportunities down this side than the other side. I would imagine we'd start seeing some of we've kind of almost got two packs going down this run. We've got first to fifth, which is like Sled to Criolla, and then we've got the back kind of 6 or 7, and I think I'd imagine we'd start seeing some of those back 7 putting in jibes a bit earlier, and then I think we'd start to see this front group maybe start to follow, so just to cover the fleet. But I would imagine Sled, they've got a pretty nice gap. I mean, I think one of the things we talk about kind of like tactically upwind is important, but we know that when it gets a bit windier and a bit wavier, Sled really do kind of find this other gear upwind, and they are super quick and they are super good in the trickier conditions. So I think that will also have been helping them on the last upwind. But I'd imagine on this downwind, they're just going to try and keep themselves kind of in touch with the fleet, not go out on a limb too much. Platoon has jibed out a bit earlier, clearly looking to kind of bring the fight to the front group again as they did in the last race. But I'd imagine we start to see Trinity and Sled think about going with them pretty soon.
Indeed, but Sled carrying on for the meantime. Once again, a little bit of pressure on that high right of our screen should be coming down to the fleet. Allegra and Criolla going off to find it. Trinity go and Sled predictably respond.
I mean, I think the delta between Trinity and Platoon is quite big, but I would love to see another, sort of tactical masterclass from Platoon just being on the attack as they head downwind. I think the gap is a bit too much, but yeah, just thinking about how they did that last sort of run and how they executed it, really, really awesome to see.
We'll wait and see, but their prey would be probably, there you go, just the point standings. Platoon Aviation would be on 20, Preveza 27, Vayu back up to 32, 34 for Trinity Racing. So in the balance between Trinity Racing and Vayu down this run, really. Not sure that Preveza have much enough runway to make an impression. But as always, every point, every place is precious. I do like how it's working out just now for Platoon Aviation, certainly relative perhaps Robbie to Trinity, but we saw this before in the final run of the last race.
Yeah, we did. They sort of used
they
the
seemed to
tactical
make a gain,
advantage.
and then when they came back it wasn't quite as beneficial as we first thought. Then looking at Francesco Bruni keeping his eyes back upwind. Andrea Vicentini there, the navigator.
Definitely looks a little bit lighter, doesn't it, Andy, to when we saw them sort of around that top mark. So potentially a bit of change in mode just with the wind strength.
I'm just watching then Big Don Cowie, the project manager and main sheet trimmer. It's quite a big lead in the end for Sled. You talk about building confidence. That's 350 metres of confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, they definitely.
But at the same time,
momentum.
watching Platoon coming down on that left side.
It looks like they're a bit faster.
They seem to be fast, and you can see that dark whiter, though, mind you, there's no shortage of speed on Trinity for the moment. But they are converging. It's all about angles, isn't it? Other than just boat speed, whether Platoon Aviation can get their bow down under pressure. They're coming on to pressure now. And looking very much like they might just get ahead of Trinity Racing on this final downwind, and indeed they are just now, whether they can make this stick.
Wow.
We saw this before, didn't we, in the last downwind. Platoon Aviation made that work initially, but it's all about the final jibes and pace into the line, picking the right angle, picking the right end of the line. There's really nothing in it just now, only a matter of meters. Sled are well clear. They're set to pick up their first race win.
They're really cool to see Platoon on the attack. They were
it works the other way around now, because now you have Trinity to our right in the strong breeze, lighter breeze for Platoon Aviation. The tables could be turned once again before we get to the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. Trinity now heading out to that right-hand side, and when they do come back with Platoon, they will be running with the swell and potentially a little bit more breeze, so definitely a faster angle into their next sort of battle. So as we just see Trinity go through their jibe now and Platoon continuing, so bit different
Not the best
tactic
of jibes
now.
as well for Trinity. Trinity went through a really pretty sharp angle, took a few seconds for the kite to fill. Not really accelerating the way they would want to, and actually coming out at quite a high angle. This may work to the advantage of Platoon Aviation. Yes. There's really nothing in it. There's only 40 or 50 metres. Meantime, an interesting jibe through a relatively narrow angle, shall we say, from Sled. Everything under control, pointing more at the finish line. Just trying to sail deep and a little bit slower, but they have a big lead anyway. This will be their first race win since day one at Marina Rubicon. First breezy big day. Sled were absolutely on fire, if you remember. We thought, here we are, Sled, business as usual. And it did not, unfortunately, prove to be the case. So, Robbie, this may be the pivot point as we start to see Sled coming back at just the right point, although they do have their main title rival for the season, Platoon Aviation, just behind them. But massive credit then to Sled, to Francesco Bruni and the team, to Murray Jones and Don Cowie, Andrea Vicentini, everybody on board. Great win for Sled at just the right time, just when we were starting to get concerned. Meantime, the battle between Platoon Aviation and Trinity Racing going at it. Platoon Aviation, I think, are just going to steal second place, and Crayola not out of the race.
Yeah, watch out for them.
They could just get in here, coming in on starboard. Trinity Racing on port, but the momentum just running out, I think, for a Brazilian team. They're just going to end up with a good fourth place. Possibly, perhaps, maybe, but it's super close between the boats behind Platoon Aviation, who get through with that second place, having worked that left side once again. Trinity get through for third, and Crayola a very close fourth, Robbie.
Yeah, very close fourth. I even thought that Crayola, if they had a piece on starboard, they really could have put the hurt on Trinity, forced them to jibe out. Obviously that wasn't the case, and they jibed early. Credit to Platoon for getting in front of Trinity, but really surprising to me that they went past Platoon's line and came in really, really hot, Andy.
Allegra getting through for fifth. It could have a little bit of woulda shoulda for them, but two good scores today for Allegra, Katie.
Yeah, I think Allegre can be really happy with that and take a lot of confidence from that, especially the breeze is up a bit today. Going into another kind of breezier couple of days coming, I think today is a good day to have kind of rebuilt that confidence, and I think hopefully we'll see that momentum really building into tomorrow.
Indeed, I mean, it's almost like they might get more confidence from that fifth or sixth or their fifth than from their previous result, having sailed consistently in that kind of position all the way through. But Gladiator here racing very, very close with Alkedo, and Alkedo just jibing away, but I think Gladiator are going to come through next for a seventh, potentially just ahead of Vayu. And a little bit of a jibe to oblivion just now for Alkedo.
Vayu sneaking in there as well.
Vayu sneaking, yeah, to get, I think, 8th and 9th for Alkedo Vitamina, so not quite Alkedo Setelar, I beg your pardon. Not quite able to put two good results together. And in the end, Pravetsa coming through for 10th.
Yeah, their first sort of double-digit score for Pravetsa after I sort of jinxed that after that first one.
A last-minute penalty there for Paprec, I think. Not sure. Oh, sorry, they have an issue with the kite. Not quite sure what's happened there, whether they lost the halyard, but they are still got some distance to go to get through the finish line. That's going to be a tough finish. No way back, come through for 11th. So food for thought for the Dutch flag team. But it's a roller coaster day, isn't it? Then Paprec just trying to get themselves, get a kite up. Sorry, get a jib up. I think they've lost their kite halyard or something, potentially. But it's going to be a long, slow final. They're only like 200 metres, 150 metres from the finish line, Robbie, aren't they?
Yeah, they could almost just drift down there with the swell, couldn't they?
I think you want to just get through the line and get down as quickly as possible. Anyway, good to see Loic Perron. He had a back issue yesterday, had to be off the boat for the second race, but clearly seems to be mobile. He is. They'll be upset, but Loic takes these things in his stride. In the end, just as you said, Robbie, just leave the jib down. There's no more points to be made, no more points to be lost. Indeed, coming through in 12th, that's going to be a tough one. But as we've seen so many times, that they're getting a 12th. Their main rivals for the third step in the podium are only 3 places ahead. So it's painful, it's disappointing. it's hard to take, but your main rivals are only 2 or 3 places ahead, then that doesn't make it hurt quite as much. But Katie, great credit to the Sled team. Good start, good first upwind, and took places when it counted. So too played Platoon Aviation, pipping Trinity Racing on that final run. What a great day's racing, Katie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, watching Sled in that last race, that was kind of more what we're used to seeing from them. It was almost like normal order has been resumed, with them kind of racing more confidently and being more towards the front. But honestly, I'm so impressed with Platoon's like the downwind battles. They've been really like bringing the battles to the boats in front of them, no matter how big the gap is in front. I mean, both of those last downwinds, they had a pretty sizable gap between them and the boat in front of them, and they were like, nope, this is us, we've got this. And just watching them, that was so impressive, and it was really epic to watch.
I mean, it's the hallmarks of 3-time world champions, 3 times winner of the Royal Cup, and they may be shaping up to be 4 times winners of the Royal Cup. Certainly, Robbie, opening a little bit of a gap on Preveza. Some of it self-imposed by Preveza.
Yeah, certainly a big delta between those two as they're trying to contend for the Royal Cup. Preveza just sort of, couldn't get out of their own way and really make it stick in this race. But I just want to say, here comes the momentum for Team Sled. I think with a bit of a building forecast in these next couple of days, I think they'll really start to get going. That's my pick, Andy.
I think so. Whether they can catch Platoon Aviation for the overall, I think that's a big ask. But anyway, it's nice to see they've bottomed out, as it were. They've pivoted from yesterday and coming away with a nice, big, comfortable, consistent, confident lead. Our confident race win. Let's look at the regatta standings after that race number 6 here at the Royal Cup. It's Platoon Aviation. Well, they were locked on the same points as Preveza. Now they are 7 points clear. This is looking good for Müller-Spreer and the German flag team moving into the second half of the regatta with a 7-point lead. Preveza in second. Well, Value on 33 points. They're now 2 points clear of Trinity Racing. Trinity, of course, led that race early on, losing 2 places. And that's the difference between their third and fourth place on the standings. Sled moving up on 36 points. The podium is very much in reach of Sled. Not sure that the regatta winners. Crayola on 36 also poised, bubbling. They could do anything from there. They could make the podium. They could make 10th or 12th between now and Saturday's prize giving. Allegra in 7th, things looking better. Probably one of the more consistent days. Sled had the best day with a 5th. Well, actually, no, Platoon Aviation had the best day with a 2nd and a 2nd. But Allegra 4th and a 5th, that's a really good day for them. Alpha Plus in 8th, Paprec in 9th, hurting with that 12th. Gladiator 10th, Norway back in 11th. That's quite uncharacteristic and really tough for them. And Alkedo, Settlart, same thing applies. A good or reasonable 3rd and a 9th today, but they're way down, much lower than their hopes and expectations. And we'll finish up the day with the season standings. Normally we're not so focused on them, but it's everything to play for, really. We saw Paprec had vaulted over Alkedo Settlart before that race, but top of the table after today's racing, well, it's only in countback, but Platoon Aviation and Sled locked on the same points, 156 via 156. Alkedo Settlart now on 195, Paprec dropping back to 4th. They're only 8 points behind, and then Trinity Racing on 5th, 203 as well. 214 for Alpha Plus, Norway back 215, 215 for Preveza, Crayola 237, Value 247, 254 for Allegra, and 285 for Gladiator. Teasing Machine still in 13th, but unfortunately not able to race yet here at the Marina Rubicon. So that's our day's racing here. We've had some really great sport. The breeze is expected to build for Friday and Saturday. Join us again tomorrow here in Puerto Calero.
If it's holding you back, you gotta let it go. You gotta give it all you
At Palm Beach Motor Yachts, we build for those who lead. This comes from our history in competitive ocean racing, where advanced technologies and a spirit to win shape our every advantage on the water. We carry those lessons into every motor yacht that we design and build, using efficient and balanced hulls to deliver performance that feels effortless. Paired with meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, it creates a quiet confidence you can sense the moment you take the helm. Palm Beach Motor Yachts, from ocean racing innovation to cruising perfection.
From a mile, can a while, yeah, yeah. I think you're my one and only. I know it 'cause I dream.